Welcome back to Truth Quest. My name is Moriarity. I will be your host, and we're going to go on a quest for truth together. Yes, we certainly are, aren't we now? Well, friends, I am going to share this out because we're going a little earlier today than normally. So I'm going to share this to my friends on the Facebook platform, that publishing platform that they alter things, so they're publishers, I guess. All right, we are live, aren't we? We certainly are. All right, an extra little message there. Call to action, call in and see if that works. Hello, Edward Taylor, Smarties. Hello, welcome back to Truth Questing. We love to Truth Quest, and today was a historic day, historic. William Shatner, AKA, you know who he is, Captain James Tiberius Kirk. Yes, James T. Kirk, T for Tiberius. Yes, there he was in space, and I hope that the extraterrestrials aren't confused. I'm just hoping that they're not confused. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm hoping that they're not confused. Okay, I'm going to drop the old Linkomatics, if I can do this. Again, sup. Prices of everything are up, man. That's what I've noticed. That's one thing for sure. Let me see if there's a space there. See, it looks fine. Then I press return and then it all bunches together. Yeah, why does it do that? I don't know. So anyway, there you go. Space age regression. Yeah, Captain James T. Kirk, otherwise known as William Shatner, the actor, but according to Bernie Mendez, at least one of these extraterrestrial races did not ever hear of fiction. So they thought all our transmissions were real. So I wonder if they're listening to transmissions this morning and going, oh, wait a minute. They're sending Captain Kirk up for the first time. What? They're probably very confused. A certain percentage of them. Just because they are more advanced does not mean they understand our way of thinking or our society. It's ridiculous to think that they would know that. So, yeah, there he was, James Kirk. And I saw the video. It was fabulous. In fact, I have a little picture here of James Kirk. Probably saw it if you, were on the intranet at all today. Is this the one? That's not the one. Well, where is it? Oh, here it is. Is that it? Here is Captain Kirk, William Shatner, AKA Captain Kirk, just as he got out of the capsule. Now, they shot straight up just to the edge of the atmosphere and popped into space for like a minute or two. And then they started plunging down. But here he is. He was just, he was describing how the Earth, when they were shooting up, there was this blanket of blue life, comfort. And then you punch through and it's like blackness. And like he said, it's like death. He said it looked like death. Is it death up there? He asked Bezos. So it was not what he expected. He said it was very different from the simulator that they, of course, they trained in. It's kind of nice. They had these big windows. Each astronaut had its own window there. But some certain things happen. It was very interesting. Yeah. Well, hello, Catherine Weiss. So here we go. Yeah, I'm going to also share this out to my Facebook page as well, because those folks might not know. They might get some kind of an alert or something. I don't know. We'll give it a shot. We'll share it on out there. How are you folks doing today? What did you think of Captain Kirk busting into space, albeit only for a few minutes in the weightlessness of space, only to then plunge back down to Earth? And when they hit, I was watching the miles per hour. They went like 14 miles an hour down when they hit solid ground. And oh, what's going on here? Uh-oh. That's not what I wanted. No. Okay, something's definitely up. There we go. Now it's working. Boy, I tell you, sometimes you wonder how much of this is just glitch and how much of it's an attack, right? And I just got the email address to get a hold of William Shatner. I want to have him on the show and talk about this experience that he had. And so I'm crossing my fingers. Hopefully we'll get him on here. Wouldn't it be nice? And, you know, William Shatner, if you're out there right now, call in via Zoom and we'll get you on. And you can talk about your amazing experience, something he said everyone needs to experience. And I've thought this for a long, long time. I've thought that, you know, back in the days, even before the shuttle, I thought they should send all world leaders up to space together so they could look down at how fragile the Earth is and then come back and make it the way it should be, you know, a wonderful place for everybody. So, you know, we're only here for a short period of time. We might as well, you know, craft our world the way it would be beneficial to most everybody. Everybody. Could be fake. Oh, you think, yeah, he's 90 years old, right? What I was wondering is he never took his hat off. Of course, he's standing next to Jeff Bezos. And you know, look at Jeff Bezos. I mean, I cannot stop thinking of Dr. Evil. I'm sorry. I mean, maybe a skinnier version of Dr. Evil. Okay. But so now Captain Kirk, William Shatner's had a toupee for a long, long time. So I wonder, you know, how does that feel to have a toupee in front of like the richest guy, one of the richest guys in the world, who's bald? It's he's inflated. Yeah. You think it was fake? I don't know. I don't know. Oh yeah. And everybody smash that thumbs up. I'm going to grab number 4 is my lucky number. So whatever number you get, that's your lucky number. Oh, we got 5 already now. Look at that. So that's awesome. All righty then. So, oh, you know what, friends? I also got a picture from inside the capsule, and something they didn't show in the video, but somehow this picture sneaked out of. So this might prove that it was real. I haven't looked at it yet, so let's take a look at it. All right, Smarties, we'll see if it's fake or not. This might solve the mystery for us. You know, you never know. So this is that picture caught, of course, inside the capsule. Now, not only did William Shatner appear in the famous Star Trek series, he was also in Twilight Zone. You might remember that he was in a few episodes of Twilight Zone. How there he is. There's whoa! Something is outside the window. Oh my goodness! It looks a lot like the creature outside the window of the airplane he was on. In yeah, Twilight Zone. Isn't that funny? But it looks like these seats, they swivel and you can like look out the window. It's kind of nice. I don't know if they had like a little bag of pretzels to eat. I don't know. But they didn't have I didn't see them wearing bulky suits. It was just something like what you see him wearing, a normal jacket and kind of thing there. So there it is, an actual picture from inside that Blue Origin capsule. Just amazing. Someone was able to get that picture out. Hello, Paul. Good to see you here. Isn't that something else? Look at that guy. Yeah, that was a really kind of a creepy episode, if you saw that. And of course, William Shatner was the perfect actor to play that part, because nobody can overact as good as he can. He is the best at overacting and making it seem natural. And talk about emotional intenseness. This guy, he's the guy. Look at that guy. So anyway, 90 years old. So there's still hope for me yet to get into space. I've always wanted to go into space. But I think I'd like to be there longer than a few minutes, you know? Good evening, Paul. Oh. She packed your bags pre-flight, 0 hour, 9 a.m. Sounds good. Yeah. Very interesting day. One for the history books for sure. I mean, but like I said, I hope the extraterrestrials who've been monitoring our airwaves for as long as we've been pumping them out, and they have been, so at least some of them, according to Bernie Mendez, they'd never heard of fiction before. So I'm hoping these extraterrestrials aren't confused when they're hearing these transmissions from this morning, like, oh, and Captain Kirk is going up into space for the first time. And they're going, wait a minute. He's been in space since the 60s. We've been watching the transmissions. Why? That's why we haven't attacked the Earth, because of the Starship Enterprise and how powerful it is, and how we don't want to go up against it, right? So they're probably being confused. And wait a minute, first time in space, and he's acting like he's never been in space before. They're going, whoa. They say space is a vacuum, but I just don't think that I don't think it's a vacuum. It might be vacuum-ish, but I don't think it's a pure vacuum. I think there's all kinds of junk out there, I don't know. It's just my thought. Very black, though. He said it was very black when you passed through that envelope of blue, and just pitch black. George Takei is probably pissed. Yeah. Yeah, he's got a heck of a social media platform presence. At least he used to. I don't know if he still does. Yeah. Well, he'll probably be next up. And what about Lahura? She's got to go up there. That would be fantastic. They'd have to give her one of those things to put in her ear. That'd be great. That would be great. Let's see. All right. Going to drop the Zoom meeting information. Yep, there's a space there, but when I hit return, the space is gone. So the passcode is 970817. Okay, and that thing that looks like a zero is actually a capital O for one tap mobile. There was a space there. I don't know what happened. That's what it does. So there it goes. Better start the chat in there too. So I'll get rid of this picture. Thank you for hitting the like, and make sure you're subscribed, hit the bell. We got some new subscribers, so thank you. Welcome everybody who is new. I really appreciate each and every one of you. And so let's stop sharing that, shall we? All right, I need to move this window over. So yeah, that that was very, very interesting. Seeing, I always liked watching William Shatner in everything that he did. One surprising thing is I heard recently, and I'd like to ask him this question, that he's never seen an episode of Star Trek. But I do remember hearing that the whole cast, they'd get together and they'd watch the final cut before it went out, I think. So he did at least see every episode once, if that's true. Going by memory, so that's not always the best thing. George Takei was pissed, yeah. Sulu, good old Sulu, right? Yeah, he was a good actor. Perfect for the part. When I was a kid and Star Trek came out, 1966, and I'd been traumatized by the indoctrination I was getting at school, having what do you call it? Atomic drills. And basically where you just kind of, you make an interesting shadow, or you put your head between your legs and kiss something goodbye. So, being traumatized, having, thinking about the destruction of the entire planet, it was a horrifying fear instilled into every student. And then to see Star Trek come out, and here was a vision of the future where we've survived, obviously. And not only survived, but we're thriving and going out into space. And on the deck of that, on the deck of the ship, captain's deck, what do you call it? The deck. Everyone pretty much was represented. Every race, almost every race, and even an alien. And so it was just heartwarming for me to see a vision of the future that included, not only did we not blow it ourselves up, but we're all working together and exploring space. I mean, this is a wonderful, it gave me hope was one of the few things that was giving me hope, because it was very depressing what they were doing. And now they're doing the same thing with up here in the local area. They had a notice they were doing a drill near an elementary school. In fact, on the grounds of the elementary school. Oh, and you'll hear some explosions. Well, don't worry. That's just us doing this training mission. What? You're traumatizing kids. Oh, just in case it ever happens. You're going to make it happen by putting it in their heads. There's a co-creative consciousness that's going on here. These kids are powerful. You don't give them ideas like that. I don't know. It was on Facebook, and I said, I made it known what I thought about it. This is horrifying. What are you doing to these kids? You're traumatizing them. Of course, trauma-based mind control. They're doing it en masse now. This is ridiculous. I think that's probably what they're doing. Man. We have to unplug from the normal world and just create the world we want. And that's what those Southwest guys are doing. Creating the world they want. Because that's what we should do and what we need to do, right? That's right. That is right-o-matic. Oh, yeah. Oh, another news item about William Shatner today. I don't know if you've all seen. It's pretty interesting. I loved watching all of the Star Trek episodes with William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy and all those guys. And even the movies they did, right? Fantastic stuff. Fantastic stuff. So, hey, Dark Brain. Good to see you here. We were talking about William Shatner, and I found another news article about William Shatner that I thought if everybody hasn't seen it, things have taken a dramatic turn. Let's just say. What do you think about this? William Shatner steals Blue Origin rocket to search for reborn Leonard Nimoy. Spock. I can see him out there. He would do this. No, he would. Of course, this is my stupid page. Satire. They have to say that. But there he is. One of the best toupees in Hollywood. Maybe he's given Bezos some tips on toupees, huh? I think Bezos could afford one. Maybe he couldn't afford one like this, though. That's pretty good. Yeah. I'm so glad that he made it to space. It's like, wow, so cool. So very, very cool, I think. All right. So that's the little funny joke thing we got going on today. But we even have more. Here it is. Oh, God. Oh, yeah. Now, we all know that working on rockets can be very what's very tedious work, and it's very delicate work because you're working on something that might explode. So we got this appeared apparently inside a lab working on rockets. Some of the camaraderie that might be going on there, someone's conveying via the drawn medium. Check this out. There it is. He's gently hammering those little rivets in, and of course his friend behind him is he's gonna make a noise. What do you think is gonna happen? Oh God, this is so funny. Of course, this is The Far Side. Fantastic. See, this describes a meme perfectly, because there's very few words. It's a picture, and you get the point. I mean, it's very effective. Single frame comics are very effective, and so are memes. So there you go. Isn't that hilarious? Love it. Love that. Very funny. I like funny. Funny is funny. Yes. All righty then. You know what, folks? Something weird to think about is these diminutive beings that are being found. You know, they're small. You know, like the Atacama being. I think he's like 6 inches tall. And there's been some other ones caught down there in south of the border, let's say, Mexico, and further south. All kinds of things. Now this one, you might have seen this. This has been around for quite a while. Yes, Shatner did make it back. Yes, Paul. Yeah, everyone was worried about William Shatner going up 90 years old. And what I didn't understand is, you saw the booster rocket come back and retro fire, and it landed gently on the launch pad, right? And then the capsule with the people in it comes down, just has a couple parachutes, and slams into the ground at 14 miles an hour. I mean, that's, I don't know what kind of shock absorbers they got in those seats, but oh, what's my take on the 1986 Challenger astronauts still being alive? Sadly, I don't believe that. You know, some of them do look very convincing, but some of them just don't. So, it's really tough. You know what? To us, squirrels all look alike, right? You know, a lot of people, you've heard of doppelgangers, and I know some of them have the same names, and that is odd. But I remember watching that explosion, and I thought that it was hit by a laser beam. That was by an invisible laser beam. I thought it was shot down. That was my initial gut feeling. Like someone shot it down. Someone did not want this thing to go up. So that's what I thought from that. So here's one of those little teeny guys, and this was caught, I think, by a farmer in Mexico. Correct me if I'm wrong. But look at that crazy little thing there. There he is. You can see he's caught in a trap, like he's caught in his trap. And I guess and there was another one. The other one took off running. And I guess, if I'm remembering the story correctly, the farmer who found this in the trap, he drowned it because it was making a horrible noise. And so he drowned it, and then it kind of like mummified it in that position. But here's a very, look at this anatomy here. And again, I would be surprised if it's more than 6 or 8 inches tall, because this is a tiny little guy. This is a very small trap. like for rodents and such, or maybe foxes or something. But there was another one that was scurrying around and it got away. Now, it's got a very thin skin. You can tell it's got arms. I mean, you can tell it's got a skeleton. It looks real. It looks strangely humanoid in its anatomy here. And there's other pictures of it, but I think this is a pretty good one. Very thin skin, no hair. Now, some people think this might be an alien, but I don't see why it couldn't be some kind of little animal, little like some weird kind of monkey. They have tiny monkeys. Maybe it's some other kind we haven't seen yet. Just because we haven't seen an animal before or something that looks like it might be an alien doesn't mean it's an alien. What do you guys think? Let me check the chat here. Hi, Kelly. Definitely looks alien. You think it looks alien, Paul? Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does look humanoid, doesn't it? And like I said, this was either taken while he was still alive or shortly after he died. But yeah, he wanted to get out of that thing. And his buddy took off. He wasn't going to help him. No, it's in a trap. It's in like a hunter's trap. You know what? I'm going to do a little search. Maybe I can find another picture of this guy. I had some other pictures, but I don't know what happened to him. Okay, going to my DuckDuckGo here, see what we can come up with. All right, this looks good. Let's go with images. All right. Yeah, you can see the trap much better here. Whoa. Okay, I'm just going to take a screenshot of all of these, all right? And then we can talk about this crazy, crazy stuff. All right, did it go? Uh-oh. There we go. All right, now we can go back over to over here. Oh, Dark Brain says the body looks feline, but the head sure looks humanoid. Yeah, maybe it does look feline. So I found these other pictures. Oh, I think I have to open them first. Yes, I have to open it first. And there we go. All right. Let's stop that one and get this one rolling here. There we go. And here we have it. So here you can see like the part you step down on and it's a trap. He's trapped in there. Okay, this is the metal close-up of it. Here's another one. I think it's the same being after he died. I think that's the position he was in. So he's a little more decomposed. He's more fresh here, like freshly, recently dead. But there he is. That was in Mexico. That's what I thought. Of course, they have the Venus flytrap because the words I put were alien entrap, small alien entrap. So it's just the words that were picked up. But the Venus flytrap is pretty darn cool. I had one when I was a kid. I was totally fascinated. But look at this guy. Yeah. I look at the side angle. His head's pretty big. I mean, he's got a pretty good sized brain for the size of his body. I'm not sure what this is. I don't think that's the same. It might be the same type of creature, but it's not the same exact creature. But very interesting. Here he is getting a DNA test. Of course, whenever they send these things to labs, they go, oh yeah, it was human. Like, no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. No, I'm not believing that. Sorry. So what do you think about that? Have you seen these little characters? They've been around quite a while. But yeah, strange little guy caught in a trap. We're caught in a trap. I can't walk out now. Yeah, he caught in a trap. Can't get out. And sad for him, but lucky for us that we've seen this specimen now. But the question is, you know, obviously there's no phaser belt on him. He's not carrying a communicator or, you know, anything that would identify him as a non-terrestrial. So he's probably Earth creature. There could be something like this roaming around. Kind of creepy, but what do you think? Yeah, so Catherine says, I enjoyed your discussion the other night, Dark Brain. Yeah, Dark Brain rocks. Yeah, I can't wait till he starts his own show. So I have something to watch. Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Yeah. So we start a little earlier tonight, so we don't have to stay up so late tonight. We're not fighting with Red Pill's schedule tonight. So what do you think about this little guy? Isn't he interesting? I don't know. I'm just always kind of captivated by that guy. He's very interesting to me. Yeah, that's right. Oh, yesterday we talked about Ceres, right? And so I remember seeing a picture from like 2004 Hubble of Ceres. And I thought it was curious how the pictures, when they got there, all black and white. Very curious. They didn't turn on the color camera. They spend billions of dollars. Can't they just duct tape an iPhone to it or something? I don't know. To get a color picture. But so here is one of the pictures. Now this might be color altered, but there's like little pictures below, or maybe this is not an actual photo, but so here's what I was expecting them to find when they came up to Ceres, because this was a picture from Hubble from 2004. Check that out. Look at that. It looks like a mini Earth. Come on now. And down here are, you know, different pictures of it. You can see there's a little bit of blue here, right? A little bit of blue, a little bit of blue. This one's tilted to the red here, I think. But maybe they were doing color shifts or something. But yeah, and all indications, all of the measurements they're able to do from this distance in space said there was water, likely water on the surface, or at least mud. So yeah, that's what I was expecting to see. And then they give us, black and white pictures. Why did they give us color pictures? You know, billions of dollars for these probes. Maybe they just bought like a lot of black and white film back in the 60s. They're still using it up. I don't know. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Of course, they're not using film. We get much better pictures if they were, I think. So that's Ceres, and somewhere I have another picture of Ceres. Let me see if I can locate that. Oh yeah, here it is. Okay. Alrighty then. So here is a picture of the two asteroids in the asteroid belt. A big, two of the biggest asteroids, Vesta and Vesta, I'm sorry, and Ceres. Look at Ceres. Look at that. This looks like a little mini Earth to me. Look at that. So you can see where, so now if I take the color and I pump up the color, see, look at that. Look at that blue. And even Vesta. Look at Vesta. All the pictures of Vesta were black and white too. Why, if you're going to a colorful place, why would you not put a color camera on it? So this was by 2004 from Hubble, and this was 2007. But they actually went and they went around these things multiple times, got close-ups of everything and mapped it. Of course, then they went in and airbrushed a bunch of stuff, in my opinion. And they didn't release the color pictures because I think they were, they didn't want people to know. Even Vesta, look at Vesta's got a lot of blue in it. What is that? Of course, the black and white pictures you see look very benign. There is that spot on Ceres, though. You can see these areas here where it's lighter. That might be where those are. I don't know. Very interesting. Have you ever seen those pictures before? Earth with yellow jaundice. There you go, Edward. Yeah, dark brain. Why is it so blurry? Well, it's a picture from Hubble. Yeah, why is it so blurry? I think it's blurry because it has an atmosphere. Maybe it would be blurrier on the edges if it had an atmosphere, wouldn't it? But yeah, I don't understand why they can't get a very crisp with this Hubble. Why don't they build another Hubble and put it right at the other end of it, and so it's like doubles its power. I don't know. So why is it so blurry? Well, let's see if we can. Yeah, if we sharpen it, it's just gonna pixelate. Especially the Ceres. The Vesta is a higher resolution image. Funny how they give a lower resolution for the Ceres. It looks like they pumped the color down on it. There it is. Yeah, it looks like something could live there. Look at that thing. I don't know. I was always mesmerized by this, and I believe it actually arrived there on or near my birthday, so I was pretty excited about it. But it turned out to be more or less a nothing burger, except for that spot, which I think can be seen here, these light spots. So yeah, there that is. Isn't that wild? That is wild indeed, I have to say. I have to say. And remember, if you want to call in, you certainly may. And I put the link in a couple of times. Hold on a second. I have to do something quickly here to this thing. So yeah, it was a heck of a day. William Shatner in space. Man, too cool for school. Yeah. Live. Not showing it. It's not letting me update the live. That's too bad. Oh well. Anyhowser. Hey, Mo Cosmic, welcome to the show. Greetings from Knoxville. Austin Morris, he's here. Good to see you here. But let's see if I still have that on there. Nope. It's the wrong thing. Okay. Oops. Yeah, it looks like it might have an atmosphere. I was really excited when they were coming close to this. I thought, wow, this is going to be fantastic. And boy, and why didn't they have color film? That would have been very cool if they would have been able to take a picture of Ceres that was actually in color. Like this Hubble picture from 2004. So if they got this in 2004, what are they giving us? Just nothing but black and white pictures for Ceres. Nothing but. Nothing but. Not a single color picture. Not one. Just all like that. Are all black and white and boring looking except the bright spots. And we don't know what the bright spots are. But yeah, it's a mystery. It's something that needs to be explored. We need to send people to Ceres. I think that would be a really cool mission. Of course, probably have to go to Mars first. It's closer. Because the asteroid belt, correct me if I'm wrong, it's between Mars and Jupiter, right? So Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. I'm still counting Pluto. I think they're bringing it back. Pluto is a planet again. They should never have messed with Pluto. Thank you, Mud Rabbit. There's the Zoom call. I better check the thing and see if anyone's there. Nope, nobody yet. Got the little window open now. We can see it. So we can see someone coming in. Ha ha ha. Yes, the bright spot on Cirrus does. It looks either like a lit up base city or some kind of chromium volcano. I don't know. All right. Oh, no worries. No worries, Mud Rabbit. Ah, she scrolled up. It's the old scrolling up job. Scrolling up trick. That's what we do. We scroll up. Yeah, I have to do that sometimes too. Sometimes it goes past that point. I can't scroll up that far. But yeah, look at that thing. I think it's a fabulous little planetoid. And I think it really was probably a moon of Maldek or Tiamat, whatever the name of the former super Earth that is now our asteroid belt. And so this is a perfectly round, they call it an asteroid because it's in the asteroid belt. But you know, if Tiamat or Maldek blew up, this is one of the moons. It maybe got moved a little bit, but the other thing they say, and who knows if it's true or not, is that Mars was once one of the moons of Maldek, the planet that blew up, that was a super Earth, and it became the asteroid belt. But how many of these stories can we believe? They're so long ago, you know. I guess you could astral project. I love watching the Farsight videos, Farsight Project videos, where they do that. It's pretty amazing what they do there. It's amazing what we're able to do. You know, if we can quiet our mind and access this infinite knowledge that we're all connected to, you know, because we all have like this this spark of life from God, from the Creator, kind of like the all spark for the Transformers. Think about it that way. Yeah, kind of wild stuff. Hello, Just Josh, second son. No, this is Ceres. This is the planetoid, or the, I contend that it's a former moon of Tiamat or Maldek, which is now our asteroid belt. But that's Ceres that we sent a probe to. And we sent a probe there with nothing but a black and white camera. And it's a very colorful planet or planetoid or former moon, whatever you want to call it. But it's there, it's something. And yeah, what do you think about that? Bump in the head? Oh, I hope everybody's okay. Whoever got bumped in the head. Well, let's pray for whoever got bumped in the head. False color? Oh, that could be Austin, but let me go back. I'll readjust the colors. So I'll bring it back to original color here. I'll reset it. And that's what it was, okay? So this is from the Hubble. This is a real picture. And I don't think that they messed with the colors. This is actual natural color of Ceres from Hubble, 2004. So see, it's a little pixelated. So I fuzz it a little bit so you don't see the pixelization and you can see the form and you can still see the colors. It looks more natural. It's just a little out of focus. And then I pump up the color because, you know, you see a little blue around the edge. You know, what is that? Could that be water? Could it be an atmosphere? What is, or could it be some kind of blue ore that's all around this thing? What is it? It's blue. So you pump the color up. You take the color saturation color bar. You just move it over, and that pumps out. See, I did this from this, the natural Hubble picture, to this, because I'm trying to you know, squeeze out a little more information here. And it really looks like, you know, this is water. There's some land here, you know, land, big land mass, some water, inlet water areas. But, you know, who knows? That's with the color pumped up. But maybe the water wouldn't be blue on another planet. But that's it naturally. And like I said, just pumped it up to make it a little more interesting so we can see that where it's definitely blue and where it's definitely not blue when the color is pumped up. So that's what that is. That's just me messing with the colors. I'll go back to original. That's the original from Hubble. And there it is, January 24th, 2004. I don't know why it says HRC. And this is Vista. So check these two out. These are the two asteroids, two of the largest asteroids in the asteroid belt. This is a former moon because it's totally round. I don't consider this an asteroid. This is an odd potato-shaped asteroid. But look at how much blue is in that. Let's pump the color up. And look at that. What is that? You know, why is it blue? And they circled both of these with this probe, single probe that went to Vesta first, and then it went to Ceres. And it, you know, mapped the whole surface, went around and around as many times as it needed to. And they got high definition pictures in black and white. And look, this is from 2007. This is a Hubble picture. No, wait, maybe it wasn't a Hubble. Well, it says right down here where it was done. But you can look all this up. I thought it was a Hubble picture. Maybe it isn't. I don't know. Maybe that's what HRC is. I hope it's something other than what I think it is. I'm hoping. So that's that. Marooned Off Vesta was Isaac Asimov's first published science fiction story. Wow. 1939. Wow. Yeah, they got some really interesting close-up pictures of Vesta. And they were getting such good pictures and information that they extended the time, which pushed back Ceres, which I was anxious to get to Ceres because I saw this as a possible, maybe a life-harboring former moon of Maldek, because it had mud and water and all kinds of colors. Well, Vesta too, but all the pictures of Vesta are also black and white. So I'm just curious why these items that are obviously colorful, why they didn't, in their billions of dollars, why they didn't add the color pictures. I mean, they could have taken color pictures. Yeah, Vesta. It's one of the biggest ones. And it's interesting looking. It's kind of shaped like a potato. Paul, how far are those planets, Ceres and Vesta, from Earth? They are part of the asteroid belt. So you got the sun, you got Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, and then Jupiter. But I believe the asteroid belt's between Mars and Jupiter. So it's further than Mars, but it's not too far. We could send people there. And so Isaac Asimov was smart to use Vesta as a possible place to visit, because that is where we did send a probe there. But they didn't send a color camera. Why? Why? I don't know. Marooned off Vesta. Yeah, Ceres was the one I was excited about because it looks like it has water on it and land. Looks like there could be life there, at least to me. Mars and Jupiter, yeah. 5.5 times as far from the sun as the Earth is. Oh, wow. Thanks, Austin Morris. This guy is like an encyclopedia, man. This guy really did his homework. Wow. Yeah, but I was right, between Mars and Jupiter. Yeah. And I bet Jupiter gets slammed with asteroids all the time with its incredible gravitational pull. So nearly circular orbit. Well, don't worry, Austin. Your memory is probably right on. I would I'd put money on it. Sounds right to me, you know. So that's that. That's that. All right. Boy. I don't know what happened to all that stuff. There's the call in. Yeah, feel free to call in and talk about it, whatever you want to talk about. Why do we never look at Venus? Good question, just Josh. I've done a couple shows on Venus. Venus is a very interesting place. Yeah, in fact, I have some interesting pictures of Venus to show you if you want to look. Yeah, Venus. Let's look for Venus. Yeah, Venus is, according to some folks, Venus was the first place in our solar system to have human life, humanoid life. So here are some pictures of Venus. Of course, it's got that mystical cloud cover, but of course they've mapped through, and according to some whistleblowers, there is a cloud city. The secret space program has a cloud city above in the upper atmosphere of Venus. I don't know if that's true or not. There's just no real way to know. But here is a picture. Well, here's Venus without clouds. Okay, there it is without clouds. Look at that. Okay, let's brighten that up a bit. Look at that thing. So that's what it looks like under the clouds. Looks like that's a little pixelated. So there we go. Had to fuzz it a little bit to get it to do that. This centered here. This has to go down more. Are we going to fit it in? Oh, just barely, huh? Just barely. Look at that. beautiful planet. It's our sister planet. It's closest in size to Earth. Of course, it's one planet closer to the sun, and a permanent cloud cover. Of course, we're looking through the clouds here at the mapped surface, all put together into a planet-wide scape here of what it looks like. So I'm sure as you're approaching a planet that's cloud covered, you probably have some kind of, thing aboard your craft to look through the clouds and see what that looked like. So they found some anomalies on Venus, and this is probably why they don't really want to talk about Venus and why people don't. Oh my goodness, guess who that is? Hello, this is, this wouldn't be Maxwell Smart, would it?
Yes, indeed.
Well, there he is. How are you doing today?
How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. How are you?
Good, fantastic.
Oh, good.
People in the chat today.
Oh, they're doing great. They're doing great.
What is the topic at the moment?
Well, someone in the chat just mentioned how we never talk about Venus. So I'm showing up pictures of Venus. Now look at this image. These are structures. This is all computer mapped. So these look very man-made, whatever they are, towers, maybe a power plant, something, art museum, or something. It looks like something built to me. It doesn't look like it's an artifact of the mapping, because that's what they say sometimes. Yeah, it's a strange looking thing. It's like tubs or hot tubs or something up here, or just areas to gather liquid. I don't know. Yeah, it's puzzling. It's a puzzling thing. Let's see what the chat has to say. There are no right angles in nature. Well, are there? Yes, Venus is near enough to see it, but you're going to see clouds, right? Not natural. Rooftop pools. There you go, Mud Rabbit. Rooftop pools. It's very strange. That's definitely built, yes. Yeah. Maybe it's the back end of a spaceship that crashed into it, and that's the engines in the back. I don't know. So what's new with you?
Oh, not a whole lot. Today I've been doing a lot of deep thought about a variety of subjects.
Oh yeah, what are you thinking about?
Everything from different aspects of time travel to continuing along the lines that I talked about the other day about the existence of different periodic tables at different levels of ascension.
Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned that before. That's interesting.
It's kind of the implications of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, trying to carry on with the idea, too, from the free will love laser. How that's actually, I think, is also a time travel device in itself.
All right.
And I try to illustrate that a little bit, but then trying to carry that further, trying to, okay, if that's so, what's the next higher level beyond that? What technology is implied by that whole model?
Mm-hmm.
Just trying to take a stab at what, if one was going to travel between universes, conceptually, how would one get there?
Right.
It's pretty deep, obviously, and it's one of those things that you're sitting there, there's a lot of dead ends, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Your brain has a tough time wrapping around something, and all of a sudden you have to take a break and relax. I usually find that when I'm trying to work some big question out, you best take a break and relax and let it come to you.
Mm-hmm.
You put the intention out there of what you want to find, and then just let it happen. Eventually, you'll get some kind of a little bit of a seed of something,
Mm-hmm.
and this time you'll follow it a little bit, and all of a sudden it'll bear fruit. But it's one of the things I learned in my education. That you can push too hard, and then you're actually you run into a roadblock.
Mm-hmm.
I had a class in physical chemistry, I think it was, and I went to the exam, and I was so wound up. I get into the exam, and I can't do any of it.
Yeah.
I sit there the whole hour fretting over, what do I do? What am I going to do?
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember any of it, but I knew all this stuff. I mean, I had studied it all. I knew that it was a case that nerves or whatever were preventing me from recalling it. And all of a sudden, when the guy said, okay, 5 minutes left, and I'm like, all of a sudden it all came to me, but it was impossible to write everything down in 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the hardest things, I had to walk my test up to the front and hand it in, knowing full well that I was going to fail it.
Wow.
And so right after that, the test, I went up to this professor. I said, listen, I kind of freaked out, and I was unable to, and I told him exactly what happened. He said, that happens, so this guy really impressed me, because he said, you know what, I'll bet you're not the only one that happens to, so I'm going to, from now on, you're going to have 2 hours in this exam for a 1 hour exam. So if necessary, you can come in and relax for the first hour and know that you have another hour to complete it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, with that, that took the pressure off. And then,
Yeah.
it actually changed me a lot.
Yeah.
But that's kind of early in my academic career.
Mm-hmm.
So just learning how to adjust to college life,
Mm-hmm.
and the unique pressures. There's a lot of pressure,
Yeah.
especially time management. I have told people, I'll bet I only actually read 60% of the required reading.
Yeah.
In my entire career, because there just wasn't time to read everything,
Right.
Not reading it as you should read it,
Yeah. Have you ever done that speed? Have you ever done speed reading?
Well, I could read pretty fast. I could skim pretty fast, but the best reading is I'm actually concentrating and relaxed. Both relaxed and concentrating at the same time. I don't know how to explain that, but
Mm-hmm.
where you're actually trying to gain all the content you can from what you're reading,
Mm-hmm.
instead of cramming. I learned much more after college than I did in college.
Right.
Because college, I had to cram for an exam and pump all this information in my brain, and
Mm-hmm.
some of it stayed and some of it didn't.
Mm-hmm.
It's really a matter of learning how to learn and how to find information is what you really
Right.
learn in college.
Right. And what I like to tell people, I give people advice all the time. They say they want to go to college, and I always suggest to them, well, I understand you want to go to college, but you might want to consider 4 years of collage, because it sounds the same and it's a lot cheaper. A lot cheaper. Yeah, 4 years
Yeah.
of collage.
I had one year that final exam period, I showed up an hour late to the wrong building for my final exam.
Uh-oh.
You know, what could possibly go wrong there, right?
Yeah, right.
So I managed to figure out where I'm supposed to be. I get there, and of course I open the door, and everybody's looking at me, you know? And I'm like, this isn't going to be good, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I sat down and looked at the test, and I said, I can only do one problem out of the whole test. So this happened to be what they call unit operations, which is, like distillation, designing distillation columns and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And this professor was known for making the final exam the worst exam you'd ever have.
Okay.
Let me give you an idea. Out of 100 points on the test, what do you think the high score was?
50.
9.
Oh, there you go.
So you can imagine how much people were. You could take 2 hours, and they were all sweating in there. And what I didn't know is I saved myself an hour worth of grief by getting there late, because everybody else was pretty much given up at the end of the first hour.
Mm-hmm.
It was that bad. And of course, all you had to do is you had to get I think you had to get 5 points or better to pass.
Wow.
Yeah. And partial credit, of course, was very important there. But that's just the way this guy was. He put you through the ringer. Certain professors are like that.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Interesting.
So
I
had an interesting idea that I presented to. I found evidence in one of the equations. I was telling this to a thermodynamics professor, and I said, there's in this equation, there's evidence that sound could act like a lubricant.
Oh yeah.
And it actually is because of vortices. When you move, say when you got liquid moving through a pipe.
Okay.
As it's hitting the wall's not smooth, right? So it's literally, if you look at what's happening at the surface of the wall, the liquids, grabbed by the friction of the wall, and you get these little eddies, little vortices. Well, under the right set of conditions, the right velocity, those eddies create a sound, and the sound makes a thicker layer of eddies is the best way to say it. And now you have eddies that can literally ride upon other eddies. It's like they flow across. The eddies act as, and so the eddies, instead of interacting with the wall, that are now interacting with other eddies, and therefore the friction's reduced. And I found it took quite a number of years, but I found evidence that somebody had already observed it and didn't realize it. I think it was a NASA paper.
Yeah.
I propose that someday they'll use sound instead of oil as a lubricant.
Wow.
So
interesting.
I'll give you. If you had a clear pipe and you send water down that pipe at various velocities,
Mm-hmm.
you get different kinds of flow. One's called laminar flow. Okay, laminar flow, and then the other flow is called turbulent flow. Well, perfect ideal flow, right? If you looked at the pipe from the side, all layers would be moving at the same speed, right? If it was perfect flow, if there's no friction at the wall,
Okay.
then the layers closest to the wall, would be moving the same speed as the layers in the middle, right?
All right.
Because there's no friction. So it's perfect flow, no friction. It'd look the wave front in front would be a perfect flat surface, right? It would be all moving at the same speed. Of course, real flow doesn't work like that. It looks like a parabola out in front of it. It's a curved out front of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the friction at the wall is retarding the layers near the wall from moving as fast.
Okay, sure.
Well, the interesting thing as you speed up the flow and you get turbulence, that suddenly that parabola flattens off, becomes what looks to be more idealized. It's kind of it's flattened off for the most part, just right near the wall that it's not flat,
Mm-hmm.
And I pointed that out to the professor. I says, doesn't this look like more ideal flow? And he wanted to find some excuse that, no, that's not the case or whatever. I said, it just looks like more ideal flow. I said, what if it is more idealized flow, and we just don't understand the mechanism?
Mm-hmm.
And then I propose that the equations themselves suggest something akin to the Doppler effect occurring, and imply maybe the sound is acting as a lubricant. And
Interesting.
And he wasn't that open to such things. So,
well,
anyway,
that's really interesting. So sound can be a lubricant. That's interesting because I was looking something up today, something I looked up a few years ago, like when Corey Good first came out. He was talking about being on some base somewhere, and he noticed that the light was coming from somewhere. He couldn't tell where it was coming from. And so he had a question in his mind, but before he could answer the question, they heard him telepathically. They said, "Oh, we get all of our light from sound waves." And so I was looking that up today because I did like 6 years ago when he first came out, and I found this company that a few years earlier had pioneered the very first sound waves to produce light. And it was a small company. Now I can't find that company anywhere. I can't remember the name of it. Somewhere I have the screenshot of it. But then I found something else that was intriguing. And I'm looking for it right now. It's probably way in the bottom here. Yeah. Nope. Oh, here it is. So it turns out where was it? Here it is. So in the mid-30s, it was documented, these scientists were experimenting with naval sonar. They noticed the sound waves, when traveling through water, could sometimes create a bluish glow. Small bubbles would emit flashes of light in ways that could only be termed ACEs. I don't know what that means, ACEs. As a phenomenon was discovered by accident, when researchers, when researching the causes of the degradation of ship propellers, it didn't rise to the top of the research agenda. So it wasn't until the mid 80s when scientists managed to repeatedly create single bubble sonoluminescence, single bubbles that would glow with a bluish burst of light.
Right.
course, you've done glow stick stuff, so maybe this sounds familiar to you, huh?
Oh yeah, I know a lot about sonoluminescence.
Okay. So, but the causes of this phenomenon, it was an issue of debate. However, there are a few things about sonoluminescence that everyone agrees on. It happens when small bubbles are created and the sound waves applied to the water cause those bubbles to expand and contract rapidly. This rapid expansion and contraction in such small space causes massive concentration of energy of the sound waves and leads to flashes of light. Most papers about sonoluminescence take note that the concentration of energy is hardly a new concept. For example, the concentration of energy occurs every time when a person gets static shock from the doorknob.
Yeah.
All right, so it's kind of like that. Very interesting.
Well, they say the temperature in the center of the bubble of a sonoluminescence reaches the temperature of the sun.
Wow.
It's because the shock wave of that all in a spherical bubble, when it's collapsing on itself, it's no place for it to go.
Mm-hmm.
And it's what I was trying to do is take that concept one step further and say, okay, instead of making the shock waves concentrate at a point essentially like a one-dimensional point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's not make that sound wave concentrate along a line, and by making it into a line, one could make a sound pump laser.
Okay.
So how do you do that? Well, what I was going to do was apply the it's called piezoelectric
Right.
transducers.
Right.
You can buy these. They have these little personal protection alarms that you can carry. They're really loud and
Mm-hmm.
high pitched.
Yeah.
They have those transducers in them. And what I was going to do is put them around the cylinder. And when of course the waves that are produced concentrate along the center line of that cylinder. And of course you have to have a perfect alignment for that line. Has to be absolutely perfect for there to get any kind of laser action along that line. But that's what I was working on. I found some evidence somebody was already trying to do that. They didn't call it that. Never finished that work.
No.
Still think it has a lot of merit. There was a great article in, I think it was called the third episode of the magazine Cold Fusion, I think it was called.
Okay.
And it later changed. I think the fourth episode they changed the name of the magazine, but it was a very intriguing thing. It's one of the things where that led to my I had some of the greatest revelations of how to warp space-time.
Okay.
From one article that's in there. There's a guy by the name of Peter Hagelstein.
All right.
He's an MIT professor, and he was no slouch. He's the one that first created an X-ray laser by setting off an atomic blast inside a chamber.
Wow.
So someone who is allowed to do that, is a high-level physicist, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he had been approached by another professor at MIT that believed in cold fusion and said, "Hey, I'd like you to help me see what this phenomenon is." I said, "Well, why are you picking me? I don't believe in it.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly why I'm picking you. I know you're a thorough scientist. That if it's not cold fusion, you will explain to me what it really is." He says, "Okay, I'll take the challenge. I'll help you out." So he started out, and this is all described in that article that's in the third edition of, I think, Cold Fusion magazine. And
Okay.
if you go looking for that magazine. You can buy it on eBay and places like that. And it's the one that actually has Peter Hagelstein on the front of the magazine.
Okay.
Pictures on the front. But he said, he starts out with saying there had to be 3 miracles that had to occur before cold fusion would be remotely possible. So he's defining these miracles. And he's stuck. He doesn't go too far before he realizes that there are things that he thought were miracles that had to occur. Other scientists had already proved were already done. No miracle required. Someone already proven that. So one by one, he came to the conclusion eventually that cold fusion had to be real.
Okay.
And so he then says, okay, well, what's really going on then? Well, what he basically was saying, how the first miracle, there had to be a state that existed on the nucleus of one atom that could overlap with the state on the nucleus of another atom, right?
Mm-hmm.
In relative terms, that's like saying that there exists a state on our planet that overlaps with a state on a planet that's 100 light years away. Sounds pretty preposterous, right?
Right.
But someone had already proven, no, there were nuclear states that existed. They were vanishingly, almost infinitely small, but they were not zero. And the problem is, these nuclear states could not see one another, right? That's the next question. There had to be some mechanism by which these states could see one another, right? The electronic cloud in between, was so strong that it would wash out you couldn't see, the states couldn't see each other, basically. So we said, well, how do you cut through, these electronic states that are blocking the path? It's like you can't see. There's a house a quarter mile away, but you can't see it because all the trees in between.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you got to cut a hole through the trees. I said, well, how do you do that here? And I'm trying to remember the third. Okay, then the third thing is, okay, assuming the states could now see each other, what was their reason for now fusing? Why would one of these nucleus fuse with the other nucleus? And there he realized something that they teach every chemist. Given a choice, which state is the spontaneous state? If you have, and the answer is the state that proceeds spontaneously is the one that releases energy. Why? Because when it releases energy, it's a more stable state.
Mm-hmm. Like Florida.
So he concluded that, okay, there had to be, cold fusion had to be real. Now he had to dig into and find out what makes it happen. So he was looking at what cold fusion, how it was occurring. In most cases, you got E2O, deuterium oxide solution, and you put 2 electrodes in it, and you pass a current through the electrodes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And these electrodes are made with palladium.
Ooh.
And when the palladium, it's just like when you pass electricity through water. What do you get? At one electrode, you get hydrogen given off, right?
Mm-hmm.
The other electrode, you get oxygen given off, right?
Okay.
That's something that most people know, right?
I'm taking your word for it. I'm taking.
Well, in D2O, instead of hydrogen, you get deuterium gas, or D2 instead of H2. Okay.
All right.
And so they said, okay, that's perfectly understandable. He says, okay. But then it dawned on him that as those bubbles of deuterium are leaving the rod, the palladium rod, they create a little pulse of sound.
Okay.
And all these bubbles escaping consistently are producing wave upon wave of sound, which is, guess what? Concentrating at the center.
Okay.
And it's that, essentially, he says, a sound laser, a sonic laser, which essentially cuts through the electronic states and allows the two deuterium nuclei to see one another. And if they can see one another, there's a simple choice between fuse or not the fuse. And given that choice, it chooses to fuse because fusion releases energy.
Mm-hmm.
And in a nutshell, that's what's described in that article. And I looked at the bigger analogy to instead of looking at two deuterium nuclei thinking about interacting, I looked at it. What if our Earth and another planet somewhere?
Hmm.
So the idea of how to manipulate the space in between. So that led to some of my theories of how to work space-time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had thought about time travel. I really didn't think about time travel seriously. The time travel, the seriousness about time travel came when I created something that levitated.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then when I touched this device, something strange happened, and then the voice came into my head and said that you must declare yourself for all time. And somehow I knew what it was asking me to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then I subsequently forgot all about that. I remembered the experiment, but I never remembered the part where when I touched it, this voice came in my head. I only remembered after I hit my head
Mm-hmm.
on the corner of a hanging cabinet,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw stars, and then I saw these what looked like film strips before my eyes. And right after that time, all of a sudden, I started having memories of things that supposedly I'd done, but I didn't remember any of that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't a life that I remember living. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and then knowledge came with that. Knowledge of the things, of how to make anti-gravity work, time, and all kinds of concepts. And these were all very strange. And there's at least one witness to that, with that transition, and then the eureka events about how anti-gravity works. And this person wasn't privy to all things that I was feeling, because quite frankly, I was afraid to say what some of the other memories were, right?
Okay.
Thinking that nobody's going to believe me.
Right.
As I said, heck, I don't believe myself at the moment, when it starts happening to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing I can describe it. You don't know what's going on. It's like you're suddenly, everything you have ever known is suddenly torn asunder, and you're wrestling with what just happened here,
Mm-hmm.
What is reality here? Is the reality I'm gone insane? Is that the reality? Or is there,
Yeah.
or am I sane and had some unique experience, or what is it? So, I have to say that wasn't being resolved that quickly until suddenly other things started to happen. Little things started to appear in other people's lives too, where they could see it. They knew I wasn't crazy,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew what it meant. you know, a coin appeared at my family's house, right?
Yeah.
Sealed house. And the coin meant something, you know, to me. Other things. And then I tied it, the time about when it appeared is when a post came out, there are no coincidences. And I would not have thought about coin and coincidences,
Mm-hmm.
except for the guy from True Reporting. He's the one who pointed out that. And when he said that, I'm like, oh my God. And I went back and looked at the timing, and right about the time, there's no coincidences, this coin shows up.
So you mean Thomas, True Reporting?
Yeah.
Yeah. Great guy.
And it's like he has all these deja vu moments where things are happening that clearly out of your control, as far as you know,
Mm-hmm.
that are all pointing to the fact that you know more. And then I could look at the post, but I still haven't told everybody to the extent. I can look at the post and find meaning in the post that other people don't. You know, the mathematics I described in one of those early episodes on your channel are reflected in the post.
Right.
All over the place in those posts.
Uh-huh.
So I definitely need to go more into that. The thing is, I didn't know what I was supposed to do with that information. Okay, so what? You know? So you see the stuff in there. Well, are you supposed to be keeping it to yourself? Or are you supposed to be telling people about it? You're just supposed to.
Right.
What do I do with that information?
Right. Follow your gut.
If there's a secret code in there, do I really want to let the deep state know about that? You know?
Right. Exactly.
Uh,
It's a conundrum.
So, you know, there's still some conundrum there, you know, for me. There's so much more there that I haven't talked about. I still not sure how to proceed on some of it.
Okay.
You know, that's the honest answer I can give on that. And then I was working in another job, and I had a friend there. It just happens to be a Secret Service agent, a friend, and close friend, and he had I'd helped him. He had cancer. I helped him get over it after the doctors had told him he's terminal. And he, you know, very good friend. And anyway, he was sitting in the office, and I was helping a customer. I came back in the office after the customer's gone and says, it's all a document right next to where I sat. It says, did you put this here? He says, no. He says, what is it? He says, it's a document. It says there's a plan on it. And I just thumbed through it a little. I didn't look carefully. I didn't try to read it. It looked like a draft. There were arrows of yellow, red, and blue arrows throughout, like it was a work in progress. And I said, you sure you didn't see anything? He says, this wasn't here when I left. I said, no, nobody's been in here. I said, did you leave the office at any time? He says, no. You didn't put that here. He says, no. You know, I said, I don't understand how it got here. And, well, I had to concentrate on my work at that time, doing some invoicing, and I changed places with him so I could get the computer to do that with. And he picked it up and it was thumbing through it. And who's the author of that? It says, Aaron Moriarty. I says, Moriarty? He says, yes. Aaron Moriarty.
That's my name. Don't wear it out.
And the name of the document is the plan.
The plan.
The plan.
Well, I don't remember ever writing something like that. So maybe it's a different Aaron Moriarity.
Well, I remember there's memory sense to remember writing it.
Oh yeah?
In the future, and I put your name on it.
You remember writing it in the future?
Yeah,
Huh.
I have a glimpse of it anyway.
Okay. That's interesting.
And I won't go into right here for the general public why I put your name on it, but
Wow. Oh, well, I'm honored. Thank you.
It was definitely an honor.
Thanks for putting my name on it. I hope I don't get in trouble. Yeah.
And well, my friend, the Secret Service person, he started digging into it. He started reading it.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, I think he asked if he could take it with him to read, and I think I told him no.
Yeah.
Long story short, I'm not positive, but I think I know where the document is now. So at some point, I could prove to people
Okay.
that's real. But I didn't know what that meant. The plan, so what, right?
Right. So what year was this?
About,
What year was that?
I think here. Give me a second to.
Oh, while you're looking for that, I just want to make mention of the heroes at Southwest Airlines. Apparently, they've struck a deal. They've retained their medical freedom, and they're going to be back at work, I suppose. $50 billion a day they were losing, something like that.
Yeah.
Operation Shutdown, how you doing? And Cajun Jules, hello. Good to see you. And this is another being from that Giovanna Pata case in Italy. I think it might be a hybrid. Go ahead.
I'm trying to think of the date here. My best recollection is somewhere around 2014.
2014. Okay.
Right about there. And it just appeared and out of the blue. And
so definitely before 2017. Before 2017 when the drop started.
Oh yeah. I had no idea about the drops, and even when the drops first came out, I was 6 months behind as far as learning about the drops. I didn't start out. I started out as a Bernie fan.
Okay.
Okay. But I was amongst a lot of other Bernie fans, and what we liked most about Bernie is that he was a non-establishment. We knew something had to change.
Yeah. Something
had to change, and so that change that Bernie represented that we were most interested in.
Yeah.
But we were also discussing. These groups were also discussing, which candidates would we never support,
mm-hmm.
and of course we said we were never Hillary.
Right.
And the Bernie fans, most of them were in agreement. All the ones I knew were in agreement. They were never Hillary because they'd seen what she had done to Bernie in the nomination process.
Right.
They were already familiar with corruption.
Mm-hmm.
That she represented, and they were anti-war.
Yeah.
And so she was a warmonger.
Of course.
So all those things, the Bernie movement was saying, no. So we were fascinated a little with Donald Trump at that time. We were saying, okay, he's definitely seems to be an anti-establishment candidate. We're a little leery because, of course, the mainstream media is saying all these bad things about him. And we were listening to what he had to say. One of the things that we didn't accept at the time was this idea that the birther movement thing that Trump had started. And at first it made no sense. It seemed like But we were listening when he was talking about fake news, and that started to grab. Eventually, the whole fake news thing it got so amazingly fake. You could see there was one story that would go out, and then the exact opposite story would come out the next day.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just think, okay,
much like
what the hell is going on here?
Much like right now, where they're saying they won't admit why Southwest was having those problems. And another thing that I found out today is that the shipping problems that are happening around the country, all the shipping container boats piling up, can't get into the ports.
Right.
I found out why all the truckers in the deep and the port workers in the D ports and the Democrat ports, they refuse to comply. So they're not doing it. So all these container ships are going around the Panama
because they
Canal.
don't want to get the jab or what?
Panama Canal over to some red port cities. I'm not sure exactly where those are, but yeah, isn't that interesting?
They don't want to comply with the mandate, is what you're saying.
Yeah, we can't say that here, I don't think, though. So
Okay.
I was trying not to say it, but
Okay, but that's the reason I was trying to understand. So they didn't want to comply with Brandon's orders.
yeah,
Okay.
right. Exactly.
Okay.
Well, they aren't even orders, and a mandate's not a law, and it's not even official yet. So, but they're trying to push it through the companies, and the companies are folding their knees and not sticking up for their employees, and it's backfiring. You can't be this.
Well, that's what.
You can't be this hard-handed on people. So.
Well, this is the people waking up everywhere.
Yeah. Hallelujah.
Everywhere of all ilks, everybody.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter whether they have a D or an R behind their name. They're all waking up.
Yeah.
And there's nothing they can do to stop what's happened. When people wake up, they're putting the genie back in the bottle.
Can't do it. Nope.
They can't do it. So, and we at one point we were told, when Brandon's numbers drop below 30% approval, then that's when the military might act. So it's not far from there now. Last I heard is 38%. It's probably dropping 4 or 5% every week.
You've probably seen these nurses, they're all quitting, and policemen and firemen and you name it, all the frontline workers and all the emergency people. And they're doing that on purpose because I think what they're planning to do is they're doing this totally on purpose. And they're looking for a reason to bring in the blue helmets, the UN, the satanic pedophile foot soldiers to come in and go door to door and take anything that they want to take and make it a third world country, and you don't have any rights and everything like that. So it's not going to work. We're on to them. A lot of people are standing up. I'm so proud. You remember in the drops, they said, you just forgot how to fight. You forgot how to do it. And now we're
literally a silent majority, and it's not just the red people,
No.
It's all of America.
Yes.
Silent majority. There's so many that Democrats have awakened. But so many people are waiting for a signal what to do, right?
Mm-hmm. Hey, Peggy Dancer.
Now they're being told what to do, right? To go stand up and fight back. And they are. The more people stand up, the more we'll gain the confidence to do the same.
Mm-hmm.
So it's starting to build. It's going to build into crescendo,
Mm-hmm.
So. Well, you just see, some of the bastions of liberal thinking is right at the colleges, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll bet you there's a huge number of people, they're joining in on the Let's Go Brandon chant.
Yeah, let's go, Brandon, man. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a big turn, because that's where people, trust me, all the young people get to see that, right?
Mm-hmm.
That will waken people up. Says, well, what's this all about? Really about?
Yeah. Everyone's curious about it.
What's this really about?
Yeah.
And if they start asking the right questions, and all of a sudden they'll find that one piece of information, and they'll say, "No, it can't be."
Mm-hmm.
Can it? And then they'll have the same thing we all went through, right? Where they, the dark night of the soul, when we realize all the trusted sources of information that we trusted all our lives are feeding us lies 100% of the time.
Yeah, nothing but.
And so a lot of people are going through that. That's where I think it would be wise if the movement did a little bit more to go back and share where they share different pieces of information for people.
Mm-hmm.
Review some of that. You might suggest it to Red Pill if you see him and things like that, to kind of have it's like a summary of what we've learned over the last couple of years about different things, about what was on what the 80,000 emails were all about, what was going on with the laptops that were found, and the fact that data is actually, a lot of the Patriots have seen a lot of that data, things they didn't want to see, but so that some of those people that are wakening up now have that little piece of information that helps to solidify where they need to be. That's the one suggestion I would make to the movement, is share more of that old information that we all needed to get to the place we are now.
Yeah.
So that the new people can fully wake up.
You know who did some great videos on the early days of this whole thing was Praying Medic.
Oh yeah.
He, I'm sure he probably still has those. So look him up on BitChute or Rumble.
Report.
Yeah.
And X22 report was a good one.
Oh yeah, he's still pumping out good stuff. They both still are.
And of course, if you're looking at all, you're gonna find Red Pill. And you're going to find, I found Jordan Sather, and I found Kate Awakening, and I found, I'm just telling you things I found, people I found to wake up. Then I found the comments you're reporting, and of course, you will watch all these people in their own personal growth. You can see where they're struggling, and then they find their place, and we're all sharing in the same process of awakening. It's not a clean process, We have our good days and our bad days during that, right? So we're struggling with it, but that's supposed to happen. That's what this is all about: realizing who we are, why we're here. Ultimately, we're going to learn that we're not alone. We've never been alone.
We already know that. Most of us.
I know. But there are a lot that aren't aware of that, or weren't able to. They're in perpetual denial of that idea. And so that's why I say, I tell people, think of this as a giant training simulator. It's kind of hard to wrap your mind around that there's this training simulator for all of mankind that was put into place just to bring us up to this point. That's what this is all about. This is so we we could learn responsibility, and we could learn, we care and love for our fellow, not just for fellow humans, but all of God's creation,
Mm-hmm.
which in a very real way we have helped create.
Yeah.
We are part of God. The energy of creation is love. We are all creating simultaneously. We are the means by which God creates the universe, but we also explore it. We're also exploring the different aspects. We're all exploring the different aspects of God. Every one of us are different aspects of God.
Mm-hmm.
So we're learning, and when we're close to each other, one of the reasons they don't want to keep us, want to deny us the ability to stumble, is because when we're close to each other, as we go up in our spiritual understanding, we actually start to resonate. And when we're close enough together, that energy transfers from person to person. And everybody is elevated in that process. So the rate of ascension becomes greater when we're together. Well, I think of it in very simplistic terms, like contact electrification.
Mm-hmm.
I think when we see and hear images of what happened when Moses went up to get the Ten Commandments, he was in the presence of the divine, and he came off the mountain glowing. And that, I think, is all absolutely real. That glow that we saw on Moses is in all of us. That's our souls. That's in my model. That's the 2D superconductor within each of us. That's growing in each of us now rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
We're all passing that energy on to each other. This is where the collective consciousness comes into play, where each one of us is raising the consciousness of everyone around us.
Mm-hmm.
Just being in the presence of some of these other people that need to be awakened helps to awaken them.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah.
They cannot prevent it.
Right.
It flows naturally to them.
Yeah.
You don't have to say a word.
Right.
Just show them love when they expect something else to come from their mouth. Instead, just say, "Hey, sis, I love you."
Mm-hmm.
We might have a different opinion, but I love you. That's what we have to do in this time. That's what they need to hear most.
Mm-hmm. Did you see William Shatner go into space today?
No, I didn't see him go into space, but I heard a little bit of it on the news talking about he was the oldest person that's been in space, as far as we know.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, yeah.
It was a thrill for him.
Oh, huge. It was not what he expected. And he described it. I don't know if you heard it or not, but he said, he goes, I didn't expect this. He said, first you're in this beautiful blue blanket of life and safety. And then you punch through and you're in darkness and death. Is that death? He was like talking about space like it was death. Very interesting. But he said, everybody needs to do this. Everybody needs to do this, he said, to have this perspective, to look down on the earth.
You realize how fragile life is.
Of course. Yeah.
And, but it's really not we need to have that appreciation, but it's not really as fragile as that. Because remember, none of us die. Okay? So that's kind of an illusion, fragility, but it tells us, it just expands our awareness and our consciousness beyond what we've thought possible. And that's what this is, of course, all about. And this movement's so important. No one person is really any more important than others. our leader, it probably still would have gone forward, but it would have been a lot more difficult.
Very much so. Yeah.
But vice versa, his hands would be tied if it weren't for us.
Mm-hmm.
So we all need each other. No one's really any more important than the other.
Right.
I contend that there's even memories to that effect that there are people in this group, the group of people watching your channel, that have a very significant role in bringing about the successful resolution.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no doubt, since I could already seen it, I know it's already happened. There's no question it's going to happen,
Well, it's going to be a continuous thing for many, many years, because people are finally waking up to, hey, I don't like what's going on. I'm going to get involved. I'm going to run for that office. I'm going to be a precinct committeeman. I'm going to go and help decide who is actually on the ticket. And that's one of the most important things, being a precinct committee member. They don't really get,
but also
they have a say
the
in,
conscious choice.
yeah.
The conscious choice to say, no, I'm not afraid. Everything is under control. We've been told that God is in control. The military is in control. The patriots are in control. We've been told that. We just have to act in faith and be calm. Do what we can. Don't put yourself in danger unnecessarily, right?
Mm-hmm.
And know that just sharing your love with other people transforms them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? When you have calm and you are around other people, that calm is shared with those other people.
Yeah, exactly.
All this stuff, we don't think about it, but there's a real transfer of energy. It's the real connection of our spirit together.
Mm-hmm.
There's only one entity in the universe. That's God the source. Okay? So we're sharing that information. We're sharing the calm. We're sharing this is all going to be okay. This is part of the process for how we evolve as a sentient being. It's all part. This is just a kindergarten class we're all in, and most of us are going to graduate. A few are going to get held back until they learn their lessons, and then but nobody ultimately gets left behind. Everybody gets redeemed. Nobody's really better than another. We all have been the bad person, So it can help us to have compassion for even those that are perpetrating these what we consider evil things. Remember, the evil is allowed to exist as a training tool. We're all evil, okay?
Mm-hmm.
We all have evil impulses within us.
Mm-hmm.
We just choose to and learn control over those impulses.
Right. I want to say hi to Terry Hopper. He's in the house, and everybody else that I missed. Abby and Cajun Jules and everybody else. Just Josh.
This is all a common experience we're just so fortunate to be in this time.
Yeah.
We chose to be in this time.
Mm-hmm.
We chose to be here for this time, to go through this. This is one of the things we always wanted to see. This graduation of humanity is where we get to start seeing the wonderful things about what we always hoped existence would be like.
Mm-hmm.
Where technologies to heal are freely available. That the economics of scarcity go by the wayside for the most part, at least on the scale that affect our basic survival, right?
Mm-hmm.
Scarcity issues are still going to play a role, but they're now in a galactic scale instead of the local scale.
Mm-hmm. Austin's Austin says Socrates said self-control is impossible without self-knowledge. Very good.
Interesting. Yeah.
Hello, Brooklyn Way. And Mo Cosmic. Mo Cosmic than the rest, I bet, huh? Tiffany Dawn, hello there. Good to see you here. Glad to see everybody here.
I would imagine that most people would agree with the statement that being with the other people in these different groups on these different channels grounds us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does.
We calm and we pick up on that. We manifest in our life. We share compassion and love with other people, and that's enough.
Mm-hmm.
We are transforming the world with just that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not to mention the fact that we get to show our inventions like the time machine. There you go.
That's right.
Do you know what's interesting about the time machine? On yesterday's episode, or on the last episode we did on Monday, Terry Hopper had mentioned in the chat that he got his time machine. He was all excited. And I said, "Oh, you got your time machine." And the sound cut out for like 18 seconds. The sound was complete.
Wow.
The whole time I was talking about the time machine. And I thought, that's never happened before, ever. So I think this invention of mine, I really struck a chord with the...
well, maybe somebody from the days of our lives are trying to...
That could be. I'm infringing on their concept. But yeah, the time machine.
Or vice versa, who knows?
Available only at from this channel. And it's causing silence. They're silencing. I wouldn't be surprised if what I'm talking about right now gets silenced. The time crystals and the time machine.
Right.
And we got 3 of them out there right now. Three of them out there right now, and possibly more on the way. We'll see.
Remember, consciousness is transdimensional. It's not bound by space and time. And so time travel in the same way, when you, Star Trek talks about this, that the first thing it was in Voyager, they said, the first thing you learn in temporal mechanics is that effect of time travel can precede cause. Right? So the time traveler acts at today's date, but the ripple, the effects can be felt before it actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
The ripples back through time. But we think of time as being linear. It's not. Actually, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
All elements of time are right here, right now. Every single sequence of events are all layered on top one another.
Mm-hmm.
And they're instantaneously transmitted back to those different layers, the changes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So-called timelines. One way, of course, to visualize it as a line, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as we make a change now, it gets some of those things actually get rippled. Obviously, it gets rippled through forward, right? But it also gets transmitted backward.
Yeah. You know, that's funny that you mentioned that. Some time ago, and a few times this has happened, I have these visual episodes where it's like I yawn, or I scrunch my eyes, and I open my eyes and I can see this kind of this fabric flowing like a continuous grid pattern. And I'm wondering if that's what reality is, because what I'm thinking it is a like a grid work, continual wave after wave grid work of light and sound waves that reinforce what's already there. That's what I think it is.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
Like you're seeing the matrix of our perception.
Yeah. Weird.
Yeah, these are all fun, and they're all important things for us to think about, ponder our existence, ponder who we are, what we are,
Mm-hmm.
why this time, and what's really going on here.
Mm-hmm.
Right? What don't do from a fearful standpoint. Understand that everything is going to be better than fine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we've been told all our life that good always prevails in the end, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's going to. Same here. It's a training age. This was always a problem when I was growing up. You're told about God being all powerful, right? And then you're trying to reconcile God's all powerful and why the heck is evil around,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And you have to reconcile that. Well, it makes sense that evil is part of our training, and that no one escapes evil. We
Mm-hmm.
all have been evil many, many times. Okay, it's part of our nature, but also, we overcome it.
Well, I don't know if you could say, but wait a minute. I don't know if you can say everybody has done this. I mean, there might be some people who just always were nice people. I don't think you can ever say we were all or everybody was, because that's like an absolute. I don't know.
I just say from the standpoint of the idea of reincarnation,
right?
Let's use the terms of the Bible: sinned and fall short of the glory of God. Okay, none of us are perfect. Okay, well, that itself seems to that I don't entirely agree with. None of us are perfect, because what is perfect? If we are all part of the source, of course we're perfect.
Right. Right. Yeah.
That doesn't mean our consciousness at this time is perfect. That's that's the whole point of the evil being allowed to exist. That's just my opinion, of course. I can't prove this, right? Nobody can prove this.
Right.
God, the source, can prove it, but not us. Okay. But we all have done things. We all have evil impulses. The whole purpose here is for us to learn that not to judge other people, because we've done bad things too. That's a less absolute way of looking at it. And so the whole purpose of this is like anything that we would do for our children. We send them off to school to learn something, right? Kindergarten, they learn certain things. Well, we're at the basic level. We're like kindergartners. We're about to go home and tell God the source, hey, you know what? I learned something. I graduated. I'm going to go to first grade now. We're about to go to first grade.
Right.
But it's an important step. It's a very important step. It's a triumphant step. Now I have this sense, and there's been some, of course, some contactees that have come forward and said that, talk about possible timelines, right? One possible timeline is that awful things can start happening radiating from our galaxy. But I think there's also some contexts that have said that because of all the things we have been through, we've had a more difficult training routine. We have a lot more soul experience. And experience is going to serve us well when we go out into the galaxy. And we're going to be able to help so many more people. I think mankind has a bright future as being a positive force in the galaxy. Extremely positive force. I think it's, that's, we're going to have mammoth challenges. What do we know? We may encounter something like the Borg.
We already have.
Prevail.
We already have. Klaus
Right.
Schwab is the Borg.
Right.
He's the beginning
We will
of.
prevail.
Well,
As
right.
long as we remember the same lessons we're learning now, we will prevail. Okay, it's part of the training. We're supposed to prevail. It's supposed to be difficult. It's supposed to be seen insurmountable. And then we realize what we are, who we are, why we're here, and then come together and realize, no, we've got this. God is in control. Patriots are in control.
Mm-hmm.
How many people agree with that? The basic idea.
Are the Patriots are in control?
What do you think a good question to ask the chat people in the chat?
Okay, hold on a second. I'm getting this other picture up here. All right. So what do we want to ask them?
Let's see.
We'll ask them. Go ahead and ask.
Do you believe that all things will work out for the better?
Well, I think everybody pretty much thinks that. That's why we get up in the morning, right?
I
So,
don't know.
okay, if you think things are going to get better, well, I think a lot of people think that things are going to get worse before they get better, but eventually they'll get better. I think that. So if you think things are going to get better, give a 1. If you don't think things are going to get better ever, then that's a 2.
Well, see, because it's hard for people. There are some people that I call in the early stages of waking up where they may not have seen the same information that other people have seen.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy to look at the situation we're going through and say, oh my God, but the things they're doing to us, the bad people are in full control. Right? It's easy to think that. Unless you know better, right? Those who've learned and been with the drops, those who've learned and seen the information that was being shared by the Patriots, right?
Mm-hmm.
Know that the data is out there that can prove all these bad things about the people.
Yeah, that all has to come out. We have to see, how bad the cockroach infestation has been in order for it to never happen again. So we need to see.
And
Go ahead.
That's why I think our movement needs to do a little bit, maybe go back and share some more of those things that we all learned earlier on and make them available again.
Yeah.
Right now. So maybe when people going out and interacting with the other 17 groups, you might put forward the idea that we need to share some of that information for those people that are coming up behind us.
Right. So make some memes, people. Let's make some. I did one with a meme with a drop on it. Let me see if I can find that.
I don't know how to best do that. Maybe get some red pill or someone like some people like red pill, and maybe everybody should try to do this, where they
Tiffany,
in their best words, summarize what's happened since 2016.
All right, we got a number of 1s here. So Operation Shutdown 1, Kelly George 1, Patrick Marquis. Hello, Patrick. I'm glad to see you here. Cajun Jules 1. Everyone is giving 1. And Tiffany Dawn, Medicine Bear says 1. That's what we came here to do. Where'd it go? So must complete this mission. The mission, yes. 1 big heart. So everyone's pretty much saying, yeah, we all expect things to get better for sure.
Yeah. But there's people, and all know this because you've all been through this same process. You know, there was a time at which you were fearful about what was going to happen, right? Because if you haven't seen enough information, you don't see the proof that the Patriots are in control, for example. So, and we've got to try to make that information available again, is all I'm saying. So some of the new people can see it more readily.
Right.
Maybe the best way is like summarize, have red pill. Some people like red pill or whatever. Summarize what's actually happened since 2016. You know, they talk about the election and then they talk about the drops and what kind of what we learned in the drops and then what other people found as far as information about you know what was actually in the 80,000 emails, what was actually, you know, and where they can be found, right? Where you can find that information that's out there, been presented before to the Patriots, right?
Yeah. I just posted the meme I made recently. It's the shot heard around the world. And it's got a nurse pointing a syringe like a gun. And it says, shot heard around the world. This is drop 572. Shot heard around the world. The Great Awakening, a week to remember, Q. So
and for people to share, what was it that solidified their confidence in what's going on, right? And a lot of people said, well, it's because you learn these different things. The drops would say something, and then 3 years later it would happen. And it happened so many times, and people are talking about every time it would happen. There can be no doubt that what we're given is intelligence of what was going to happen, right? And there's some people that don't know that. They've never read those drops, so they don't know that. So to them, they don't have the confidence that we do that everything's under control. You know, they just see, they're awake to the point that they know what they see is corrupt and bad and whatever, but they don't see facts to back up. They don't see facts to back up the fact that there's someone else in control. That the good is in control. That's what I'm saying. I've heard it from some friends that are struggling with this whole idea. You know, and I tried to say, well, the information is there. And so I'm not asking people to consider we need to put that information out there again so these people can see it. So the new people can see it that are waking up and don't know where to go for that information. So anyway, that's kind of what I'm saying. Because I do know people in that boat that are good people, they're clearly patriots. They do see what's going on. They just don't see the proof that there's any force or any group of people that can stop it.
Well,
that's what
I think some of these people are just lost until the media gets cleared out and they put like a loop of information about the true nature of what's really been going on, because some of these people are just tragically lost. But it's a smaller and smaller amount every day because people are, like you said, are waking up. And 30% of the people at the Trump rallies were Democrats. 30%, and it probably kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger as time went on because people know a good leader when they see one.
Right.
So there you go.
Well, and they start to, once they realize that one fact, it suddenly wakes them up and say, wait a minute, I know that's not true. You know? And then all of a sudden they say, well, what else are they lying to us about?
Yeah.
And then you start digging, you say, well, heck, they really never give us any way to follow up on any of the things they're putting out as fact. Anonymous source here, anonymous source there, unnamed sources.
Yeah.
You know, and then you look. Okay, does the other side, the supposed other side, did they put out any facts? And that's what I'm saying. We need to put those facts out again because they came through the movement, had all these facts, right? They had literal reports from the Pentagon and other things, you know, all things to support real data, real references, right?
Mm-hmm.
These are the things that allow those other new people to say, wow, here's something that says quite the opposite, and it's referenced and whatever. Well, does it mean it couldn't be faked? No, it doesn't mean it couldn't be faked. But you have to look at more data, right? You start looking at additional claims, and you just go, okay, the mainstream media didn't put out anything as any references. Over here, they have a reference that supports the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
And time again, they will see that the sauce is on the side of the patriots.
Of course.
And when they see that, when they actually experience that, a subtle shift comes to them and they realize, okay, I see why people say why we should trust the plan, why we should trust the, you know, and then they see how the drops, you know, the future proves past or whatever, you know, all these things that they'll see that where the drops came true time and time again.
Yeah.
And then they'll start to realize when the drops say, you know, trust the military, trust the plan, God is in control, that they'll realize this is real. This is not speculation. The sauce is there. The Patriots have the sauce. There's no way this is going to proceed.
Nothing can stop what is coming.
Nothing can stop what is coming. Nothing.
Yeah. I love it. You know, Trump put out a statement today, and he said,
"Oh, that
part of it, he said, do you miss me yet? Do you miss me yet? Yeah, he goes over all the catastrophes that's been happening since the commander-in-chief assumed the office unconstitutionally.
What was the statement? Or you probably don't have the actual statement, but
Oh yeah, I'll look for it here.
okay.
What's his site called? Trump statement.
What I try to send people to try to wake them up, some of the things I can send them to, I said, go look at Trump's inauguration and compare it to Biden's. Go look to what's supposed to happen in an inauguration and compare it to Biden.
Yeah.
You know, it's now come out. There's a data. You can go find the data where there's no denying that Biden is giving presentations from what looks like the White House, across the street from the White House. What is the purpose of that? Ask yourself. If you're in the White House, why do you have need to have a fake set somewhere?
Yeah.
What can possibly benefit you by making a fake set?
Mm-hmm.
You know, all these questions like, okay, Biden took a commercial flight to his inauguration, supposedly, when he's supposed to have a military escort. All the other presidents have one, except for one time in history. I guess there's one other time. There was no. But why is that? You know, go read about the belligerent occupation under Geneva Convention.
Mm-hmm.
Go look at the Insurrection Act of 1807. Look who can declare it. Look what it allows to do. You'll see the 5D chess game emerging. When you do that, you realize that Trump knew what was going to happen. He literally allowed the mainstream media to declare the insurrection. so that he could legitimately, legally maintain his position as president
I found
during
the message.
belligerent occupation.
I found the message. Okay, it took me a while because he streams out so many messages every day. He's got like 10 or more of them. Here it is. COVID is raging out of control. Our supply chains are crashing with little product in our stores. We were humiliated in Afghanistan. Our border is a complete disaster. Gas prices and inflation are zooming upward. How's Biden doing? Do you miss me yet? Yes.
Of course we do.
I mean, think about what he did. What he was 4 or 5 peace deals in 4 years in Middle East peace
Right.
deals. I mean, come on. Who has done that? No one has even come close to that, right?
Well, of course, you know what this means, though, that for that to be possible, a huge portion of the world's population didn't want war in the first place. They were being fed that division by these bad people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, their consciousness had already raised to the point where the average person in the world just wants to get along. They want to take care of their family. They want to have a peaceful environment for which they can thrive.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they want.
Yeah.
And these other people stir up problems. They create wars. They create disruption. They create influx of people. You know, it causes turmoil and chaos. That's all they do.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And most people have already grown past that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty easy. It's really pretty easy if you're fighting for the right things to put together a deal,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
In that environment.
Yeah.
But it still takes that leader to do it. You know.
Right.
Steps up and does it, and of course he needed the confidence. We got his back. You know, and we did. So.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure the president. I'm not talking about the Pino. I'm talking about the president. Has been through as many profound changes as we have.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure he's overjoyed by the response of people and the people standing up as much as anybody. You know?
Mm-hmm.
It's all happening. You know, it's all happening for a reason. It's literally a celestial reason, you know?
Mm-hmm.
This was from the beginning of mankind, this day was always going to happen about this time. It's the way it happens for every civilization.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Oh, I got someone in the queue here.
Okay, cool.
It looks like it might be our old friend Austin Powers. Morris.
Austin Powers. International man of mystery.
Austin, is that you?
Hello, Aaron. Yes, it's me. I was just calling up to comment on one thing I saw today on the web that nobody else has commented on that I'm aware of, but it was odd little essay that's worth reconsidering. Something you ran that meme about the shot heard around the world.
Sure. Yeah.
Now, of course, Mike Barra uses the euphemism lollipop rather than say the V word so as not to get himself banned. So
Sure.
anyway, concerning the possible some disturbing news about the lollipop, the writer Joseph P. Farrell has a website that is called Giza Death Star website by Joseph P. Farrell, Farrell, Farrell. And on his website, his most recent entry concerned possible effect of the lollipop, maybe. Oh, well, it was very disturbing. He was looking at employment statistics. He was questioning because, of course, we've had this economic crisis. So and a lot of businesses are closed. So logically, there should be a lot of people out of work looking for jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And yet every business you see, at least hereabouts where I am, every business you see has a help wanted sign.
Yep.
Nobody seems to be able to find workers, even though allegedly lots and lots of people have been laid off and should be looking for work now.
Right.
Now, Joseph P. Farrell was looking at statistics and numbers on this article. And what he said was approximately, this is approximation, 1,200,000 workers have evidently walked off their jobs without applying for any kind of employment compensation or welfare, and without seeking new jobs. Joseph P. Farrell said that that's not possible. That's what the figures show has happened, but it isn't possible for it to happen in his mind. From his common sense tells him that can't be what's really going on, that we're being deceived on that number. That's what has really happened to the approximately 1,200,000 missing people. Is they're not missing at all. They're in funeral homes.
Mm-hmm.
And that this has been a possible side effect from the lollipop.
Yes.
Well, that's pretty extreme if that's true. But anyway,
yes,
it came to my mind when I saw your meme. I thought I'd better call up and mention it.
Yes.
I hope that's not true, but it's on Joseph P. Farrell's website.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard that too. I've heard that as well. Yeah, go ahead.
A few episodes ago, remember I shared that figure that came from Dr. Oz.
Right.
Initial figure said that 2 people out of every 100,000 people that have gotten a lollipop die per day. Okay, so, and then he went further. He said that means 2,000 out of every 100 million die per day from the lollipop, just from the lollipop.
Per day.
Per day. Now, if you factor that up for the actual amount said to have gotten the lollipop, which is 70% of 365 million, which is 255.5 million people, which is 70% of the total, okay? And so I did this other day and said that means, according to those figures, if you take the 5,110 people per day that got the lollipop die, times 365 days is 1,865,150 people died from the lollipop alone, or will die in a year. Well, that's more than all last year.
Yep. Yeah.
That's just what I want to hear, and people keep an eye out for this. You find it, please report back here. Look for what they say the rate of breakout. This thing where they say that a certain percentage of the people who get the lollipop spontaneously develop disease and die from it. Find out what that, because I'll bet you that this whole breakout is actually just the same number of people that actually die from getting the lollipop.
Yeah, well, I think they are both designed to eliminate people. So,
Right.
So it's doing exactly what they thought. And, while they're doing that, they're bringing in illegal aliens who aren't vetted and aren't whatever, didn't get the lollipop. And so they're going to be right there ready to be inserted into these positions where these other people are either dead or refusing to comply. And if you're refusing to comply, then you're a hero in my eyes. And I refuse to comply to any of this bull crap from the beginning. I never wore a mask. That's why I invented the Invisimask.
Now, here's what I think is going to happen in this whole process. It's all going to come down and look at Trump's executive order from 2018, where he talked about what would happen if a foreign power interfered with our natural process for selecting our leaders, and that anybody, any entity, corporation, individual that worked in conjunction with them would have to give up their assets to the federal treasury. That's what's going to happen, I think, in the end of this. That imagine the hospitals all becoming not for profit.
Right.
All of them that participated are not for profit. From here on out, when this happens, will be run as not for profit entities.
Sure.
Okay. And then something will have to be done about these corporations like Coca-Cola or whatever that honestly tried to participate in this regard with interfering. Well, a decision will have to be made. Either they are disbanded and those assets shared with Americans via some kind of quantum currency. This is what I think is going to happen. And or they will be operated at a profit, but we're the shareholders. We will get a share of the profits each year, every American. And all of these corporations that did these bad things will either be dissolved and sold and broken up, and those assets shared with us, or the future profits will be shared with us.
Okay.
This is what I say is going to happen. It's the quantum currency. We're each going to have an account. It's going to be blockchain. We're going to each. Now we earned this because we've lived through their corruption. We're going to gain the benefits of our government. We paid in and 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 got corruption. Well, now what's going to happen? We're going to we combine that with Trump's executive order in April last year about the proceeds from all mining of the moon, Mars, Ceres, and other planets and bodies in our solar system is put in the federal treasury. That's not wishful thinking. That's something I think is real. We're going to share in those benefits. And indirectly, the whole world's going to share too, because they had fake corruption. Similar things are happening in those countries, other countries too. So this is not some kind of it's not socialism, because these are just rewards from what we've experienced. Okay.
Well, I hope you're
now
right.
We have to choose we have to choose at that point what we're going to do, right? There's to be some people that will sit home and do nothing, maybe, right? Live out their days.
Yeah.
Do nothing. But most people, they know that, most people will enjoy life a little better. They'll go see parts of the planet they never got to see before. They'll take up new hobbies and have resources to explore things. And some of them will go back to school, but this time not because they need to, because they want to learn. Of course, we'll be open to this new reality that we're not alone, that there's so many places out to explore, the Hawaii planet and all these things.
Sure. Yeah. And but the ocean's only 10% explored. Now, Cajun Jules asks, what's your thoughts on Jassara and Nisara? For me, really quickly, my response on that is, I don't believe it. And I think it's going to be hijacked by it's being hijacked by the Build Back Better and the whole China thing. I think that's going to be hijacked, and I don't think it's going to be how people think. That's just my opinion. I just don't think.
What I'm just describing is similar, but it's organic as a result of taking back what has been taken from us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's going to be sizable amount that we're each getting essentially as a dividend.
Yeah.
So
I just
that's what I think is going to happen. It's going to be what happens in the Star Trek. You know.
yeah,
sharing abundance.
I'm just very skeptical of this. The way it's been talked about, this Jacera Nacera thing. You know, it's a hopeful thing. It would be a good thing if it happened. But I just have this feeling that if maybe it's being pushed by the powers that be, so they can corrupt it. I don't know, or they're going to corrupt it. I just have a very wait and see attitude. I just don't. Kind of like Nibiru. I don't believe Nibiru's coming.
Right.
You know.
Well, do you know the backstory for this is basically there was this huge stockpile of gold in the world that people put forward to create solutions to the problems on the planet, and that the banking system and corrupt people in the world took over those. It's called global collateral accounts. And those global collateral accounts were intended to advance humanity in every way.
Mm-hmm.
But they got co-opted. All they did is advance the agenda of the deep state, essentially. So in a sense, I think we're going to see something like
Nacera Jacera.
Yeah. Because I think that those assets are still going to be divided amongst the people of the earth to make the things that we want to see happen. We're going to see the advanced technology, advanced healing technologies. We're going to see the advanced energy technologies. We're going to see the advanced things that it's going to liberate mankind. I kind of tend to agree. I don't agree it's going to happen exactly as the people that are proposing those movements say it is. So
Yeah.
I suggested the way I think it's going to happen.
And I know that China is chomping at the bit to release a gold-backed or some kind of precious metal-backed currency to replace the dollar for the global currency. They're trying very hard to do that, and they were pretty close to doing it when Trump was president. He put the kibosh on it. So you have to think that Sleepy Joe's doing everything he can to make that come true for Build Back Beijing.
So that these people know, even the bad people know, that if you want to be a superpower, you need the kind of control, and then to have that kind of control, you need to have the confidence in people.
Mm-hmm.
And so a gold-backed currency gives confidence.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is when you've got an entity that's corrupt within, and there's huge amounts of bad things happening to its people.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the group you want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah. You know.
You want a stable country like the United States that values freedom and everything else to be putting that out.
Do we value freedom? I mean, the way that this current administration is going, they do not value freedom whatsoever. They are doing everything they can to squash it.
I'm talking about we the people. I'm not talking about government.
Okay. All right, gotcha.
We the people. We've always stood for certain things, and that hasn't changed.
Yeah.
No matter what they try to make us think about, it hasn't changed. That's what this Great Awakening is all about.
Mm-hmm. So,
if you had to say the one biggest mistake that the deep state made is they didn't count upon patriotism.
Right. I want to switch gears here and go back to Austin. You said Austin, you said that Isaac Asimov's first science fiction book was about Ceres, right?
Well, no, it was a short story. It was the first thing. It was the first time his name got in print, and he was real proud of it. It was just a typical kind of pulp era space adventure story, not a remarkably good story, but a story, and it was published in one of those pulp magazines. I can't remember which one, but late 1930s.
Oh wow.
38 or 39. No later than 1940, certainly. But it was his first published story, and it was called Marooned Off Vesta.
Okay.
Basically about a spaceship that gets stuck and can't come home, and they're right next to the asteroid Vesta.
Oh.
I don't remember details of the story, but of course you had that. I just put it on the chat because you had that image of Vesta on your screen, that NASA image of Vesta.
Yeah.
Because it's being investigated now. So every time I see something like that, I think of that old story by Asimov. You see, what I would like to be able to do, and I don't have the time for it, or the ability. Somewhere in my vast collection of old paperback books, I've got that story from Asimov. And now that they're sending probes to Vesta, I'd like to reread the story and make a little comparison of Asimov's fictional Vesta with the real one.
Yeah.
I love to do that when I get a chance, but that's leisure time. That's the way we'd live our lives if we had lives to live.
Sure.
It's not what I have time for.
Well, if you get a chance to go on the internet, check out what they found on Vesta and Ceres, the probe that went to both of them. I think it was a first in many ways. It was the fastest probe. It got there really quick, and it went to 2 different targets. So it's the first one that did 2 different.
Yeah, they do remarkable things with those little robots, those little probe vehicles. This one, I think, I can't remember the name of it, but it uses what's called an ion drive. That's an electric rocket.
Yeah.
It takes little particles of cesium and accelerates them electromagnetically to make a rocket exhaust. And the cesium particles are of course, very, very tiny atomic particles of cesium, but it being accelerated in magnetic fields. But it can be accelerated very, very fast, like up to the speed of light. And of course, exhaust velocity is one of the factors in the rocket equation for how efficient a rocket is. So the rocket motor is like super, super efficient, but since it's dealing with atomic particles accelerated, it's not, well, I don't think they're actually individual atoms of cesium. I think it's molecules. But anyway, this is being accelerated out of a rocket nozzle by electromagnetic forces, and the exhaust is very, very thin. It's so it doesn't have a push. It doesn't have a strong push like a chemical rocket motor would. But these electric things, they can run them continuously. And as they run them, they get a slow acceleration that's steady and constant.
Right.
And if the vehicle's just a robotic probe, the probe doesn't care how long it takes to get to a destination.
Right.
So they can go places that you could never go with conventional manned spacecraft. You couldn't send on a Project Apollo vehicle to Vesta because the voyage would take more than a year or two, and the spacecraft can't sustain human life that long. But this little robot gizmo doesn't need to breathe air or go to the bathroom, so it can go places and see things. So that's basically why we're seeing asteroids now from NASA probes. They're able to do that, which is quite remarkable, and not really something. I mean, my sentimental fondness is for the grand old golden age science fiction exploration adventures where heroes would climb in a rocket ship and blast off to Jupiter or wherever. In the real world with robots, it's slower and steadier, but there's no human lives risk in a thing like that.
Right.
So we're seeing Ceres and Vesta, and I think they've got several others planned. I think it's 5 or 6 of the asteroids are large enough to be considered minor planets.
Right.
Vesta and Ceres are 2 of them, and I can't remember the names of the others.
And I found
the other asteroids are smaller and chunkier thingies.
Right. It's the Dawn spacecraft, and I got it up here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right about how
Hey,
it was operating. Go ahead.
Hey, Aaron, is Kelly George in the chat?
Let's see.
I saw her name. I don't know if she's still in the chat.
Oh yeah, I think I saw her too. I'm scrolling up. It's scrolling kind of slow. I think Kelly George, she was here. Yeah.
Is she still here? Well, anyway, if you see her, let her know that I got some more information for her and some questions for her.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I see her name. She's still in the chat.
Yep, she's there. She's here. He's got more information for you, Kelly.
and more questions.
Max does. And questions. Yep. So
Now back to Ceres. Some of the whistleblowers have said some remarkable things about Ceres. I don't know if this is the stuff from Corey Good or not in his testimony, but some guy named, I think his name was Rodriguez,
right.
who supposedly was part of that same kind of 20 and back stuff that Corey Good said he was in.
Right.
Said that he had lived on the asteroid Ceres, that there was
Right.
an underground colony there built by Nazis.
Yeah, that's what he's claiming.
He'd been there as basically a virtual slave. It was
Right.
an interesting story. I enjoy reading that. I just don't see much confirmation of it elsewhere, but there it is.
Well,
It's interesting stuff.
He claims that he was in the Dark Fleet, right? He was in the Dark Fleet.
Yeah, this was about the Dark Fleet and the international corporate conglomerate.
Right. So what Corey stated, and he's mentioned this several times, that when he came out and started talking about these things, he did not use the real names of these programs. So when he says Dark Fleet, it's not really the Dark Fleet. So when a whistleblower comes forward and says, "Oh yeah, I was part of the Dark Fleet," that's a big red flag because that's not the name of it. In other words, if they were truly part of the Dark Fleet, they'd say, I'm not sure about Corey Good because it's not really called the Dark Fleet, but we called it the blah, blah, blah fleet. Mm-hmm. And so there's obviously been a very concerted effort of the cabal to try to discredit Corey Good's story and to super soldier the secret space program, to super soldier it. In other words, to do to the secret space program what they did with the super soldier program, which was flood it with a bunch of people and stories so that you can't tell the real ones from the fake ones anymore. And it's just, just muddies.
That was another thing I saw on the web today. It kind of annoyed me from Michael Sala, the Exopolitics.
Oh yeah.
Because what he was saying sounded so crazy, essentially, that saying that the William Shatner flight, that Shatner had actually taken a flight to the moon Ganymede of Jupiter, where the Galactic Federation is having some sort of get-together. They wanted to meet Captain Kirk, the real Captain Kirk.
Okay.
And Michael Sala was publishing this. It's from his two informants, the two psychic ladies that he's very much depending on now.
Oh, man. Oh.
He's supposedly only in space for 10 minutes, so how did he do that?
Yeah,
Well, of course, Michael Sala was claiming that this was all just a big cover story for Shatner's flight to Jupiter, but I agree with Max there about that. That it's a very brief flight, and we saw it on television.
Yeah.
For it all to be faked, when Shatner really took some kind of flying saucer flight somewhere. Usually I say, well, I have to take that with a grain of salt. That's the cliche I use a lot, but there's no grain of salt there. There are things that I believe, there are things that I don't believe, and then there are some things in this universe that you may say it's true, but I can't believe.
Right.
Not without some very good evidence offered.
Yeah.
That's one of those things. That's where you draw. That's where you go to that threshold where. If you'd have to have more than the word of a lady psychic before I would take such a story seriously.
Exactly.
take more than what somebody said. And I'm sorry if that makes me one of these stick in the mud skeptics, but there I am on that issue.
I'm right with you,
And
right?
I worry about Michael Sala because I think he basically means well.
I think so too. And I think he's destroying his image or destroying his credibility by putting all of his eggs in this very shaky basket full of holes. You know, I don't know.
Especially because he's just putting it out as fact. And it'd be one thing if he's coming and says, okay, well, this is what claims are. I don't know if that I accept them at this point, but if he said something like that, it'd be easier to accept. But he doesn't. It's all matter of fact.
Yeah.
Well, he's got this lady psychic. I guess I shouldn't mention her name. I don't know if I should say it out loud or not. But
go ahead.
she talks with a French accent, and I have trouble understanding what she's saying. She's really a very, very attractive woman. And then he's got another lady from Florida who he says has correlated everything the other lady said. But I never heard of this lady from Florida until after the first lady had published her first book.
Okay.
So, the source number 2 could have that book open. You see, that's the problem. I hate to, like I say, I hate to sound so skeptical and so negative about something, but
we have to be skeptical.
I have misgivings about these things coming from the Exopolitics website these days.
Me too.
And I had high hopes for them, and not long ago.
Yep.
I had pretty high hopes for them for quite a while, but this latest stuff, it just doesn't sit well with me.
Well, in this business, it's really difficult to make money. So maybe someone flashed some money in front of him, and I don't know. Who knows what the real reason is? But I don't know. I find it very difficult to believe a lot of this stuff, like you said, when it's just a psychic saying things that people want to hear. I mean, yeah. And there's so many things that could be. It could be maybe they're not psychic and they have a voice in their head. Maybe they're making it up, or maybe it's some other voice pretending to be that. There's just too many ifs. For me, I like solid things. That's why I didn't believe in UFOs till I saw one myself. I really didn't. I was intrigued by them. I was interested in them, but I wasn't believing it for a minute until I saw one. So I'm like you, Austin. I'm very. I need something concrete. Now, with the testimony of Corey Good, that's where I make an exception because of the information he's given has been so accurate for so many years. So many things he's said have happened. So I tend to believe his story more than most others. So there you go.
Well, yeah, I've read a little about him, and let's see, I read one of David Wilcox's books had a summary of Corey Good's story, and the Dark Fleet book by Lynn Caston had had a good deal about him. And one other source, he's been on Exopolitics website as well, but one other source besides that I've read.
Yeah. Well, Corey's going to be back on the show, and I'll be able to ask him some questions. So if you have any questions you want me to ask him, let me know. And that's supposed for you too, Max.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a little skeptical of Corey, but I'm not saying that I know. I mean, there was things like, I followed all the stuff that's going on with Guy, and David was talking about Thompson and whatever, and it seemed that right after that, Corey was adopting everything David was saying. Now, it's possible Corey had far more extensive interaction with Tompkins before that I don't know about. So I'm leaving it open to the fact that I just may not know enough about it, the situation, to adequately make a good judgment about it. So, if I have some good questions, I'll bring them forward. I'm eagerly hearing even more. I find his story compelling.
Oh yeah.
I certainly enjoy it, but I'd have to say at this point I I accept that there is something like what he's saying, but I don't accept at the moment that it's exactly as he's saying. But that doesn't necessarily take anything away from it. Just because I don't have enough sauce for my purposes doesn't mean it's not true.
Right. Well, not everybody believes everything, so there's.
Yeah, me and I've something you said, Aaron, that I see. I had some questions that I would want to ask Corey Good,
Okay.
but they're detailed, little niggling detail things that are precisely the sort of things that he would want to withhold for the reason you gave. They would be indicators if somebody was legit, somebody was for real. So it's the kind of detailed stuff that you'd hold back so that the other person could identify themselves. And all these detailed things that I'm wanting to ask him could fall into that category, which is a bit frustrating for me. I'm going to have to reappraise what I plan to ask.
Okay.
Well, then Corey could help by giving us not all, but one of those details. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I've just noticed that, of course, I was never in the military, but I've noticed all these military organizations in their duty wear, they love shoulder patches and insignias and emblems. They love that kind of stuff. So things like the Solar Warden Space Fleet would have a logo of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was going to ask him about that, but that could be precisely the sort of thing he would deliberately withhold talking about because
Sure.
he would want you to tell him so he'd know if you were for real or not.
Right. That's
Because
interesting.
I've seen several websites where they offer Solar Warden logos and Solar Warden merchandise, and in each case I've seen it, and it didn't have a feel of authenticity to it. It looked kind of hokey.
Okay.
Like something somebody just made up to make a buck.
Sure.
That's the impression I've had so far. Of course, I haven't seen anything that really impressed me yet along those lines. But that might not be an appropriate question to ask Corey Good.
Well,
Because that might be exactly the kind of thing he's looking for you to explain to him.
Well, you can ask him, and he can answer it however he wants to answer.
Yeah. But it would be an informational kind of tripwire kind of thing that somebody could signal
You never know the
reality
answer.
of their experience.
You have to ask the
Did
question.
you mention something about an obscure physicist, a Russian physicist, that was the name of one of the ships or something that Corey talked about?
Well, now that was something he said. That's really. I mean, I was on the fence with Corey Good. I mean, as far as I was concerned, maybe no, and it's just like these other whistleblowers. So you take it with a grain of salt, etc. That was my attitude. But then he mentioned one thing that he's mentioned that really impressed me. The name of the spaceship that he was stationed on was the Arnold Sonnenfeld.
Oh. Okay.
And when I saw that, I was thinking, who the heck's Arnold Sonnenfeld? Why did they name a spaceship after him? Who's he? And I looked it up on Wikipedia. He was one of the really great scientists of the early to mid 20th century in Germany. He was kind of a partner with Albert Einstein, and he was one of the co-creators of quantum mechanics. He was a truly great scientist.
Oh, wow.
And he's famous because he's the greatest German scientist of the early 20th century to not win a Nobel Prize.
Mm.
And some historians of science have remarked that it's really kind of unjust that he was never given a Nobel Prize because of the degree of the amount of work he did, helping other scientists who won the Nobel Prize. The other scientists built a lot of what they did on Sonnenfeld's work.
Interesting.
So it was a significant name once upon a time. I'd never heard of it. And I thought I knew a thing or two about this stuff, but I never heard of that name. And Corey Good's telling us, that's the name of the spaceship that he was on. Wow. Which just knocked me for a loop. I had to look it up and get more information. And the one of the details also about Sonnenfeld, he is credited for being the creator of the idea of the tachyon.
Hmm.
The tachyon is the class of particles that travel faster than the speed of light.
Okay.
And if the Solar Warden spacecraft really are faster than light vehicles, something which could get you into arguments with anybody who really taught physics, but if we want to go there, if the Solar Warden spacecraft travel faster than the speed of light, then the physics behind that might owe a good deal to, it might have its starting point in human dialogue with human technology, its starting point, its startup point,
Mm-hmm.
its startup point in time and space with Arnold Sonnenfeld.
Interesting.
Maybe.
So in other words, that supports a little bit of a support for possibly of what Corey's saying.
Well, it just means that if he says something or anything, I'll pay attention to it. Doesn't mean I'm a true believer yet. I mean, you can't base your belief just on that. But it just
Right.
struck a chord with me, and I wanted to hear more about him after that.
Mm-hmm. Well, more's coming
It's
out.
not just a random name. Yeah, it's not a random name. It when you look it up, it does have a possible association with things related to space. So
Mm-hmm.
it's supportive. It's supportive of his story. Let's say that.
Yeah.
And it kind of tickled me because it was so strange and so unexpected. Sonnenfeld was a German scientist, and but here this is supposed to be like a U.S. Navy spacecraft, a space warship of the U.S. Navy, and named after this German scientist guy. And what reasons would they have to do something if that were for real? And that's that takes you down quite a rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm. Here's one of William Tompkins' sketches of this spacecraft carrier that housed these littler fighters. So it's huge, kilometers long. And I asked him on my one interview with him, the first interview here on Truth Quest, how they traveled through the cosmic web, because he said that's how they get to like far-flung places in this galaxy and even other galaxies through this cosmic web. He said that there's an electric filament that connects all planets and stars and everything. But as the planets and things move, these filaments shift, path of least resistance, these electronic filaments. And you have to use hypermathematics and a different kind of more advanced physics to do this. And when you speed up and enter into the cosmic web, you essentially vaporize and enter that web, and you go instantaneously to your destination and you re-solidify. But it takes hypermathematics that was given to us by some alien being. That's the way it's described by Corey.
Well, but Tompkins, did Tompkins agree with all details of that story?
Yeah, he was familiar with the 20 back program. He was familiar with a lot of the things that Corey talked about. And, Corey looked at some of his sketches and said, I was on that ship. That was one of the ships that I was on. Or that's the ship. I saw that ship. It was in the fleet. So
yeah, the architecture reminds me of Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah. And the reason why
that Star Destroyer in the opening scene of the very first Star Wars movie, 1977.
Yeah. And
now, Corey said he went back and forth, 4 times?
I believe it's 3, altogether 3.
Okay. Because Ingersoll Lockwood says there's a limit on how number of times you can go in the past.
Yeah.
3. I just throwing that out there.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah, on his interview with Jenny McCarthy on YouTube, he said 3 times. Oh, total 3 times.
Okay.
which is consistent with that Ingersoll Lockwood stuff, but that's a website I've never been to.
Okay.
There's a lot of gems on that site, and they're hidden hyperlinks. You can, when you go to that site, you look at things like the period at the end of the sentence, because it could be a hyperlink. You look at everything, the letters in each word. If you want to find all of the gems, you're watching the web's locations as you're moving the mouse around, and even in the spots that look like just the background, there's links all over the place there, and they change every day. So there's a huge amount of information there.
Yeah, and I've never had much time to go there and do all that. I'm still stuck in the Gutenberg dimension.
One of the intriguing things is the Space Force Labs link in there, talking about anti-gravity research and that sort of thing. They tell the history of the space program in the world history of the space program. They talk about the Nazis and the infiltration and the Fourth Reich and the Admiral Byrd, and give a lot of details. History there. Anybody who's really curious about it should go there and explore that site. Now, I'll give you a cautionary tale. Do not download or save anything off that site. Because they warn you, they will come after you because it's protected content.
Okay.
You can look at it all you want. Just don't download any of it.
I didn't even know you could do that on the internet.
Just-
Download?
You can copyright the stuff that's on your website, and then somebody can't just click on something and download it.
Oh yeah, well you can click on the picture, right? Sometimes it'll bring it up on another screen, and then you can save as to your folder or something. Don't do that here. You know, like they got pictures of the new Space Force uniforms there, and all kinds of things there too.
Mm-hmm.
They have all the space decrees that Trump did.
Mm-hmm.
They got all those there. Lots of stuff. There's a countdown. There's links to a new type of quantum currency that they created or going to create. There's all kinds of things there. And some of it, one person has done a pretty good fair job is over there at Cosmic Origins channel. But he's going to put more out. That's the husband of the lady who does the news about the sun on the Space Force News. Okay.
Alara or Foil?
Not Alara, the
Loyal to the Foil?
Beat Bubble Beat. I can't remember what the name of that section of it.
All right.
Oh, that very, very last part of the Space Force News where they do the solar weather, I think, or cosmic weather.
Sure. Her husband is the one that has the Cosmic Origins YouTube channel. So there's a good one on Ingersoll Lockwood there. But go there. There's lots of stuff to be seen there. Lots of projects going forward that beneficial to mankind are described there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Kelly George says, or better yet, take a picture of your computer screen if you want to have it to look at it without getting copyright infringement. Yeah.
Somebody, let's see, on the chat there was remarking, Terry Hopper remarking that there was a U.S. Navy ship called the Zumwalt, which was the so-called stealth ship. It had these sloping sides that were supposed to defeat enemy radar, or at least confuse it.
Uh-huh.
And the shape of the Zumwalt looked a whole lot like that.
Yes, it did.
Alleged spaceship.
You're right. He's right. And Tompkins was talking about the design of these craft, and the angles of the metal and everything was to deflect any kind of meteorites or, little things that it would deflect them away from the ship. And that's why it was angled like that. And when he first showed these ships, these designs to the brass, they said, those look mean. Do we have to make them look mean? And like, well, why not? I mean, it's kind of nice to have them look mean, doesn't it? So they went with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go for it. Let's make them look mean. Yeah. So I just traced over his drawing here and made that digital drawing to see what it would look like, a little bit more spaceshipy looking and less sketchy. But yeah.
If anybody goes to the Ingersoll Lockwood site and finds something interesting, come back and report it to us. We'd like to hear it.
Yeah.
There's so many things there.
Ingersoll Lockwood and that old book from the 1800s too. That's interesting connection there.
Yeah, this is IngersollLockwood.com, the defense contractor.
The last president.
The one of the original founders of Ingersoll Lockwood runs it. The CEO now apparently started the Homeland Security Department in the United States.
Mm.
They're big on cyber security. So there's no doubt in my mind they had a role in, let's say, just preserving information we need coming up here in the future.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Great.
So
Awesome.
all the documentation we need to prove that some bad things happened
Yeah.
in November and things like that.
Oh, hello, Ralph. Ralph is in the chat. Oh my goodness, a death in your family. You'll be gone for a couple of days. Well, our prayers will be with you, Ralph. So sorry to hear that. So sorry to hear that. Oh my. So send your well wishes and prayers out to our good friend Ralph.
Certainly will.
You're welcome, Ralph. No problem. Well, guys, we started a little early today, so we've been going quite a long time. I think we might want to wrap this baby up. Any last things that you want to say, Austin, before we sign off?
No, I guess I should call it a night. I've gone on enough.
Okay. Well, thanks
I'll
for
call
calling
back some other night to talk more about science fiction stories.
We love it. We love it. That's awesome.
It's great.
Yeah, we really enjoy your perspective. It's very awesome. So thank you so much for tuning in and calling in. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much, Aaron.
No problem. Take care.
Okay, I'm hanging up. Thank you, Aaron.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Nice to see you again.
All right. And Max, to you as well. Thank you very much.
The only thing
Okay, go ahead.
The only thing I have to say is, like, just be calm and relaxed and know that everything is under control. Everything seems like it's out of control, but it's not. If you're a patriot, everything's fine. Just keep putting out positivity. It's that positivity. It's that confidence that everything's going to work out that that transforms the consciousness of the planet and ensures that they will never win.
Right.
So
good
and
message.
you see, it's starting to come to a crescendo. People are standing up everywhere, whether it be Southwest Airlines or other people, and they, they're already trapped. They're already trapped. That's what this belligerent occupation is all about. They've already been trapped for some time. They're allowed to play a little bit, dig themselves in deeper.
Yeah,
dig their hole deeper.
I heard Amtrak and another airline has joined with Southwest, so it looks like it's a trend that's going to be let's go Brandon all the way. Well,
right.
So thank you so much, Max, for calling in and giving us all that interesting information. We love it when you
Thank
call
you,
in.
everybody.
We like your perspective, and we love hearing about because you're a patriot. We all are in this together, aren't we? So thank you very much, everybody. Remember to keep looking at the skies. Keep your cameras and your phones ready to take that picture of that UFO, because when you do, come on to the Truth Quest. Give us a call. Send us the video or the pictures, and we can talk about disclosure, because it's happening every single day, every time we talk about it. Full disclosure is the only way. Thank you very much, and peace in.